The click-through rate GOAT. CTR. What is CTR?
Color psychology is a real thing.
The top-tier creators like Mr. Beast.
Click-through rate is even YouTube thumbnails.
The freckle on the ass of the industry.
I'm a ranch with chicken nuggets?
You can have ranch
No
anywhere.
thanks. John, like, what else should I do next?
Don't even try this kind of stuff.
The number one way to sell more online is to get more clicks. And that's why I flew all the way from Las Vegas to New York City for this one. As you're about to see, it was worth it, because John Aspinall is the go-to Amazon expert for all sellers. But I call him the CTR GOAT. That's the click-through rate greatest of all time. And if you sell products online, you need to hear what this guy has to say. I asked him all kinds of questions that every seller should be asking. Like, what's the number one no-brainer change to make on any image to drive more clicks? We even talked about things like color psychology or packaging design and how those actually impact your sales. Should you focus more on traffic or on conversion rate? John's answer is going to surprise you on this one, but that's just the beginning. Halfway through the episode, John gave Jackie, our creative director, a hands-on masterclass on how to update product images for maximum clicks. And we show it live on the screen. So if you sell online, just by osmosis alone, you're gonna pull actionable insights of things you can change in your images right now. I also want to give a huge congratulations to John for launching his creative agency last week, Aspie. I've already referred a few sellers to him, and let me tell you, they're already getting results. This stuff just works. And of course, I can't end an episode without showing John how to take his agency and turn it into a multi-million-dollar endeavor. So let's get into the episode, because you're gonna love this one. Okay, welcome back to the Roll with Steve podcast. This is episode 5. We're live here in New York City with John Aspinall, the click-through rate GOAT, Amazon God, extraordinaire, in person, live in the flesh.
I don't know about
you
God.
know?
Are we talking Greek God, Roman God?
What kind of God do you want to be?
I don't know. I've never thought about that. That's
I think Greek is just a hierarchy there. Greek is
Is
definitely
it?
up there with it.
Yeah, I need some sort of granite statue made out of me with like a mouse and I'm just kidding. No.
Well, being that you are the click-through rate GOAT, I mean, you could probably make that in no time on a Canva app, right?
100%. Canva goat for sure.
You can definitely make that happen. So it's good to have you here. You have a breadth of experience in Amazon, selling on Amazon, being a part of an agency, building your own agency. And then we have Jackie Reese with us here as well, who is, as we were saying this morning, our GOAT. Okay, you are the GOAT, but she's our GOAT, our click-through rate
fellow
GOAT.
goatie, okay.
So we can see if
also
maybe
like a
there's like a statue?
Yeah.
Greek God?
We can make it happen.
I don't see why not, you know? But just to give the full introduction, our creative director at Diversified Hospitality, also heavily involved in the other brands associated with Role Management Group as well. And so a breadth of experience here. I know the least about listing optimization on Amazon, and so I'm looking forward to leaning onto your expertise. But to just like frame this for everyone first, we talk about CTR all the time. People are like CTR. What is CTR? Can you give us like what we're talking about when we talk about click-through rate and CTR and why that matters?
So when you talk about click-through rate, it supersedes Amazon. Click-through rate is advertising, omni-channel, and click-through rate is even YouTube thumbnails, right? So I always go back to, I look at pros and leaders in the space, and I'm like, what are they focusing on? So I really doubled down on CTR probably 2 years ago, right? After having so much experience in the space, after watching a video with Mr. Beast and him saying CTR is the number one thing that he focuses on for getting views and clicks on YouTube. So for me, I'm like, if that's what he's focused on, why shouldn't everyone else be? Right? So with CTR, it's a click-through rate. So on Amazon, they give it to you, anything that Amazon charges you for, they're very transparent about letting you see that, right? So click-through rate is when you run an ad, how many people are clicking on it, right? Versus it's the ICAP. So it's impressions, clicks, add to carts, purchases. That's the funnel over there of Amazon shopping. Where they don't give you the good stuff is the organic click-through rate. Mm-hmm. That's when you're going into like your search query performance report, your brand analytics, and you're having, sometimes if you go in that funnel and you're looking at that, you're looking at search terms and you're like, oh my God, I have a 65% click-through rate. I'm crushing it. It's on that specific keyword in that specific kind of search. So like I said, anytime Amazon charges you for something, you could very easily see your click-through rate in your ads console, your ad manager on Amazon, and see. And the thing is, with the click-through rate, a lot of folks are really focused on CVR, conversion rate. Again, super important, but you have to, 1 foot before the next, in front of the next, or whatever the phrase is. So understanding that, if people are not seeing you, they're not clicking on you. If they're not clicking on you, they're not adding it to the cart from conversion, and they're not purchasing. So what is the easiest way to get more sales on Amazon? It's increase your CTR. Because if your conversion rate stays the same, right? If your conversion rate doesn't decrease, doesn't increase, if it literally stays the same and you're getting more clicks and more traffic, you make more money. It's just that simple, right? So when you take a look at the Amazon SERP, which is a search engine result page, a lot of folks are in kind of like vacuum or really, really, really micro level, like looking just at their image. And they're like, oh, this is great. Cool. Does it look great when you shrink it down where it's fitting on the SERP, right? Does it still look great? Okay, it does. Does it still look great being next to 20 other competitors that have the exact same thing that you have? No, it doesn't. Okay, what can we change? Can we change the color? Color psychology is a real thing. Folks don't realize that. There's a reason why McDonald's trademarked red and yellow, because red and yellow are associated with delicious food. Psychologically, you'll never see McDonald's or a food, fast food chain come out with like blue. Like try and think, right? You've never seen fast food blue. Maybe sometimes Dairy Queen will have blue, but that's ice cream. That's cold, that's cool, that's associated with that color. So if you're doing something like vitamin C gummies, right? Across the board, everyone's going to be orange. So what's another color that people associate with vitamin C that helps you stand out from the SERP? If you look at melatonin gummies, I'm very big into supplements, not personally, but just, actually doing this kind of stuff. So you look at melatonin gummies, what's the color you immediately think of?
Red.
Red? Purple. Purple because sleep.
Yeah.
Calming, sleeping. So melatonin, that SERP looks like a sea of purple.
Okay.
So what's another color that you can use that's associated with sleep and calm, relaxing? Probably like a lilac, probably like something like that to stand out. And a lot of folks are in the mindset of Amazon's terms of service. Amazon says that I can only do this. Cool story, bro, is what I tell them. Because in Amazon's terms of service, it says nothing about images, literally nothing. That's inside of image guidelines. And then people kind of have the argument of like, well, image guidelines are also a part of terms of service. Not really. Because if you take a look at the landscape and you see exactly, even Amazon themselves, what they do with their main hero images, they don't do exactly what they say. Because Amazon will sell Amazon Basics food storage bags or Ziplocs, right? Technically, you're supposed to just show an image of a Ziploc bag and that's it.
White background.
White background. You would never know what that is.
But
Amazon shows the box behind it. Amazon sometimes does post edits on the box. So people need to not fear playing with their main hero image and getting the CTR, because I take a look at it as risk reward. What is the worst thing that can happen if you put an image up that's not okay? You get an image suppression. You fix that in 2 minutes. You put your old image back. End of story. What do we? So you're risking potential tens of thousands of hundreds of millions of sales potentially. Because you're afraid of an image suppression that can be fixed in 2 minutes.
I think that's a really, really good point there. I do hear people all the time talk about how like they're trying to like optimize their images, but stay within Amazon's terms of service. And to your point, like it ain't there. Like there's nothing in there that talks about that. But you've leaned into this and studied this for 2 years now. It started while you were at My Amazon Guy. And kind of almost stood up that program in my eyes. Tell me if I'm wrong about that.
No, you're
stood
correct.
Up that program there at My Amazon Guy. You've since left and gone now to PickFu, which is probably like the leader in the space now in terms of like one image versus another and the way that that can be optimized. It doesn't seem to me that a lot of other agencies yet have moved into this click-through rate space. Like the thousands of agencies that exist out there are still talking about, we'll optimize your images for you so that you can get a better conversion rate. Are we just super early in the CTR game right now, where it's just the leading agency and PickFu who are thinking about this, and maybe some of the more advanced sellers who are going through and making their own programs? And do we expect these other agencies to start catching up and be behind the curve on that when that happens? Like, where are you at on the timeline here?
Yeah, it's a good question. So with most agencies, you have to look at how agencies charge, right? So if an agency is charging on a project basis, right? Let's say, take out full service agency. If it's just a creative agency, they're charging per project. There's no MRR, there's no revenue sharing that's there. So they're looking at the whole picture, and they're looking at it like, okay, we want to sell you. We don't want to sell you just a main hero image. We want to sell you on the image stack, the SEO, the brand story module, the brand store, the premium A+ content, and all that kind of good stuff. So they're not really focused on, okay, this will grow your sales down the road, but they're not with you for that journey, right? They're with you for this project to give you those deliverables, and yeah, it'll go great. We're hoping so. And a lot of people have good success with that.
Yeah.
And then a full service agency, they're selling you on the gamut, the whole entire thing, the PPC, the troubleshooting, the SEO, all that kind of stuff. So the agencies that I see that are really tripling down on CTR are the ones that have rev share built into their pricing model, right? So as that brand grows, they're also getting more MRR and stuff like that. So the agencies that are concerned with growth and more rev share really are tactical with this kind of stuff. And we have a ton of agencies at PickFu that do this and understand it and are certified PickFu agencies, and they get it. So where is the quickest and easiest lift that we can do? It's going to be on the main image.
Yeah.
And, from there, it's like, okay, let's take a look at now the main image is up. It depends on how the structure is done. So for me, it's like incremental. So if I change your main hero image and nothing else, like if you change too much at one time, you don't know what caused the lift. Was it, so when someone does a full listing optimization with Premium A+ with a good hero image, they're attributing it to, oh, we did the Premium A+, that's why it's so great, that's why it's so awesome. Is it?
Yeah.
So unless you're strategically, incrementally, that's the right word? Yeah.
Yeah.
Going from hero image, cool, now image stack, cool, now SEO, cool, and then doing it that way, then you're able to see the actual path and roadmap as to why you're having success. Because if you don't know why something took off and is doing really well, how can you replicate it?
Yeah. So what's that timeline in between doing hero image and then going to bullets and then going to A+ content? How much time do you want to see people test that out in between those changes so that they can really attribute that change to the change that they just made?
Most agencies and most folks will never do it like that. For simple time, for simple streamlining operations, no agency is going to say, let's just do the hero image and wait 2 weeks and see.
Yeah.
And then now that that's a lift, let's go attack your image stack and then wait 2 weeks. Most agencies and most folks want results yesterday. They're like, we don't want to wait for this kind of stuff. But for the people that understand how to replicate it or understand the desire to replicate success, they're okay with doing it that way, where it's like, let's do your main hero image on this one ASIN. Let's see where there's any sort of lift. Okay, we see a lift in click-through rate, but not a lift in conversion, right? Okay, what can we do to affect the conversion? Okay, your image stack is not saying all the benefits. I'm a big fan of benefits over features. Like if you're selling a blender, it does not resonate with my wife that this is a 4-speed horsepower titanium blade. No, it means nothing to her. That's a feature. A benefit is you can make soup in this. You can put whole vegetables in it. It'll never jam. Like that's the benefit. So I find that a lot of people that have high click-through and low conversion is you have a good main hero image, but then when someone lands on it, they're either confused or they're not sold as to the problem that they're having. And you have to sell people on the problem. Tapping into pain points is a massive thing that nobody wants to talk about, because if I'm buying a blender, for example, well, maybe I never had a blender before. And what's the pain of not having a blender? Or maybe I had a blender and it sucked and it broke and I spent a lot of money on it. So how are you taking those two problems that I'm having and addressing them in your PDP and your A+ and your image and all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's so important to have that to compel a customer to take that decision to go from a click to an actual conversion. Let me ask you this, though. what should come first? This is our chicken and the egg. Do we focus on getting traffic to the page first and then focus on conversion rate? So you optimize that hero image and then you have all this traffic. Now let's get them to convert more. Or do we focus first on having our conversion rate be super high and optimized and then go out and get the additional traffic to come in from the click-through rate? If you were advising just a panel of sellers on Amazon or anywhere else, what would your answer to that question be?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of traffic. Even if your listing sucks, if you have more traffic, there's more eyeballs that are potentially going to be able to see and purchase. And some folks will not give a crap about your A plus content, and you just have a really good deal, right? So I'm a big fan of following the ICAP. Stephen Pope talks about that all the time with brand analytics. It's, impressions, clicks, add to carts, purchase. I follow that. So impressions, that's the first thing I want. I could have the most beautiful A plus content, and listing in the world, but if no one's seeing it, what's the point? So I want traffic, I want impressions, then I'm focusing on the click, then I'm focusing on the conversion of add to cart, and then there's the purchase.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Let's talk more broadly now, hopping out of the Amazon space. You talked about YouTube, and this is the top tier creators like Mr. Beast are thinking about this science of getting more people to see what they're already elite at. It comes down to it, he makes the best videos that are on the internet, but he's thinking about, what does my title say, and what does that image say to people to get them to want to actually come in and engage and look at this? Maybe the biggest industry that is really looking at click-through rate is the Facebook ad industry. And I think that any agency who's making images or videos, for that matter, of people, they're looking at that click-through rate and maybe the attention span of people who come into that as well. They're actually doing that study. But it doesn't feel to me like you have a ton of people thinking about the science behind getting their product in front of people as much as you have people trying to just come up with a killer product. And that's particularly in the Amazon space.
Yeah.
Do you think that when we talk about just CTR in general and click-through rate, that this is kind of an afterthought for most people, and that they have to really be sold on this whole idea of what it is, why it's important, and why you should make an investment in that?
Yeah. So it comes down to doing this for 15 years in the Amazon e-com space. It makes you look at things differently, right? Even traditional old school advertising, I'll just be walking down the street or driving down the road and I'll look at a billboard and I'm looking at it. I'm like, wow, that sucks. How much did they spend on that billboard? Where are they saying the proper message? No, they spend a ton of money. Or if you're looking at a bus stop and there's a billboard there on the side of buses, are people really testing if this resonates? If you can't tell, my metric of if an image on Amazon, going back to Amazon for a second, is good, can my 9-year-old know exactly what this is from this image? If he does, you have a great hero image. You have a great advertisement. You have a great whatever the offer you're putting out there. If my 9-year-old has no idea what you're putting out there, then that's my litmus test. So in my eyes, that's not good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you've done this for, safe to say, thousands of images now. Are we into tens of thousands?
Probably into tens of thousands.
All right, so tens of thousands of images that you have done this optimization for. If you had to isolate the no-brainer changes that anyone should be making from their stock image to a completed hero image on Amazon, what would be your top 3 things that everyone should be thinking about for hero image?
Yeah, so it really breaks out into the category too, right? So for some of the things I'm about to say, you can't do it.
Okay.
So for most apparel, footwear, media, books, don't even try this kind of stuff, right? Because you're going to get suppressed right away. Anywhere that Amazon is natively, meaning Amazon started with books, right? That's their category. Hands off. You can't do that kind of stuff. Amazon acquired Zappos. They're heavy into the footwear. Hands off, And then it comes down to organically, when you buy a sweater or a sweatshirt or pants, it's not really in packaging per se. It's in poly bags. So those are the kind of things you have to stay away from. But if we're talking about what everyone and their mother sells on Amazon, right? Kitchen goods, home goods, supplements, consumables, and stuff like that. If I had to pick my top 3, you really want packaging, and then product in front of it. I'm gonna run down what my best practice would be. I don't know if you could chalk it up to what the three of those are.
Okay.
But let's say, for example, it's a bottle of creatine gummies, because that's the new wave that everyone's trying to get into, and it's all over Amazon. So if I had a bottle of creatine gummies, I'm putting the bottle in front, packaging behind it, whether packaging is real or not, because I guarantee you half of the supplements you see on Amazon that have a bottle and packaging, you're not getting the packaging. A good way to know that is go and look at the reviews when people take photos and see what they got. They're never going to get a package because they don't care. So I would have bottle, packaging. On the packaging, you want a clear CTR word and 1 to 2 value props on it. That's not already on the bottle. And then you want to have the physical product outside the packaging. So in creatine gummies, you want to have the gummy outside. You don't want to have a rendering. You don't want to have a comic stylized icon of a gummy. You want a real gummy. Then you also want to have, if you have any flavor or scent profiles, you want to have that behind the bottle. Why? Because if it's vitamin C, or if it's lemon flavored, or if it's, blackberry flavored, and I love blackberry, I want to click and see. If I hate blackberry, I don't want your click. Right? I want you to keep it pushing, because I don't want you to be like, oh, maybe sort of, oh, it's blackberry. I don't realize it. I don't like it. So packaging, product outside packaging, flavor or scent profile, and then ingredient, right? Ingredient. So if you're talking about, what's a good ingredient? So if you have green tea, or if you have a lilac infused something, show a sprig of lilac behind it, because that's reinforcing the folks that like that. They're going to click. And if they don't like that, you don't want that click, because if you don't very clearly express things like flavor, scent, ingredient, and it's very ambiguous and you don't know, and then they click on it, that's costing you a click if you're running the ad. But moreover, now they're going on the PDP and they're going to be like, oh my God, this is lilac, gross. And they're going to leave, and then your conversion goes down, all that kind of stuff. So you want to be as transparent as possible. For a period of time, Amazon was testing buy now from the SERP in certain categories, they stopped doing that. But for supplements, that was your make or break moment, your hero image. Because if your hero image was really good, they would just click buy now. They've since changed that, but that was your one and only shot for the most part, if it was compelling or not. So packaging, bottle, outside packaging, scent, flavor profile, ingredient. And then the last thing I would say is some sort of post edit. And going back to the creatine gummies, for example, I call it dead pixel real estate space. So the lid on the jar, 9 out of 10 times, is never printed on. You could do a post edit on it and just say, hey, if you're saying 90 gummies, is that one a day? If it is, 90-day supply, 3-month supply, reinforcing, perceived value. All that kind of stuff.
When you think about giving some criteria like that, let's go down to the world where 2 years from now, everyone's listening to you and doing that. And now the PDP has entirely changed, looks very similar again, but now everyone's making the same changes to it. I look at this as a game of iterations and staying one step ahead. And I know that's how your thought process would be. I'm curious, when everybody starts doing this and that page changes, what do you think the next thing is going to be when everyone's doing these 4, that you're going to be like, hey, I'm going back to the original? Or is it the next iteration of changes that you're now making to all the listings that you're involved in to help those people stay 10 steps ahead?
It's always evolving and always changing, right? So I'll give you one good one that no one's doing right now. That's, by the time this comes out, maybe everyone's going to be doing it. But if you're selling a 2-pack of supplements, right, some folks will have just the 2 bottles right next to each other and doing everything that I talked about. But then there's 1 or 2 brands that are out there that are taking advantage of the pixels, and they're creating what I call mega label. And they're making one giant post edit label to cover the 2 bottles. and really tripling down on the real estate and really having that breathing room and elbow room to say very clearly and standing out from the guys that just have 2 individual models. They're doing what I call mega label and putting it right across the middle. There's always going to be something. So in a post John Aspinall world where everyone is doing this kind of stuff, right? Will I go back to saying, hey, just put a plain image and stuff like that? No. I'll say, cool, everyone else is showing flavor, this, that. Well, what if we did this? And what if we did that? There's always room to change something, right?
Yeah.
Like if you look at the supplement space, I keep on talking about supplements because these are the folks that are taking this and running with it because supplement click-through, CPC is very, very high.
Yeah.
Sometimes, $20, $30. It's very expensive to do that kind of stuff. So they have to find these tactical ways, but I'm still finding other brands like that are in the textile space, pillows, sheets, they're not doing any of this kind of stuff. You'll find big companies that have agencies that have 10,000 SKUs, 10,000 ASINs, that they just don't have the time, right, to focus on this kind of stuff.
That's where we find ourselves sometimes with 800 SKUs that we have on Amazon that's across like 14 different brands, and it's all up and down the spectrum. I want to give you a chance to ask some questions pointedly to John, but before I hand it over, I just want to make the observation that we talk about the supplement space a lot and people who are making moves in CTR and supplements. I talk with a lot of beginners who are launching products for the first time on Twitter and on LinkedIn. And I'm starting to notice a trend amongst the beginners that they're very into the science and the hacks. And one of the things that they many times lack is a really good quality product and a good brand, but they're into like everything else that's like PhD level Amazon and how to sell on e-commerce, where these are the guys I think that are following your content and they're like taking copious notes about click-through rate. Okay, I got to have that in the label and do this and then make sure the packaging and the contents and the flavor. They're doing all of that, but they're a single product company and they have one and they've done everything else the easy way. And it's like, okay, maybe the actual telltale sign of a beginner is doing all of the advanced stuff without having the fundamentals taken care of first. And this stuff really only works if you have the fundamentals taken care of, if you have a good product that people want to come back and buy again.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just a hack. Like you tricked somebody into buying that. And one of the things that amazes me about what you do is that like, you're getting behind like the human psyche and understanding like what's going to make them take an extra action here. It's like the psychology of the sale, which is like super special. And sometimes I think that the people who need that the most, the actual brands, are like, hey, John, we have good products. Like, we don't need to do all the little hacks like that. But that's who needs to be doing it.
Yeah.
And then it's the people who really don't need to be doing it, who don't have the great product, who are like, John, like, what else should I do next? Like, I want to try the next hack.
Well, that's a good preface because like everything I talk about, if your product sucks, your product sucks. Like there's no, like so long are the days or farewell to the days of the Me Too commoditized products, right? Like you cannot just take something from Alibaba. I mean, you can, but are you looking to scale and just slap a logo on it and then just go out there? Because China Direct is a real thing. China Direct is selling right on Amazon every single day in a lot of these categories that I talk about. So I think you have to look internally before you want to launch on Amazon and say, what's the problem I'm going to solve?
Yeah.
And if you can't answer that question, then you shouldn't sell on Amazon. If you're looking on Amazon to say, I want to sell a product, I'll sell any product, I'll sell anything. What a lot of folks will get on calls with me sometimes and say, when I'm at an agency or wherever, and they'll say, what's the best item to sell on Amazon? One that solves a problem, I'll say. Like what I always ask people, what is your interests? What is your hobbies? What do you do every day? And what do you find a problem with?
Yeah.
So for example, going back to supplements, right? If you're a constant supplement taker and you're like, these supplements are gross, I'm going to create a better tasting one. There's no good tasting one on the market. Good case in point, a friend of mine that I used to work for years ago when I worked in the daily deal space. Think like Groupon, Woot, Daily Deal.
I loved Woot back in the day before Amazon bought them.
Yeah. The daily, back in 2000, 2010 to 2015, 16 was like the height of like the daily deal, like one sale a day, Woot, you know, Groupon. Oh my God, I gotta hurry up and get these 3 yoga pants for $20 or whatever it was. But that company, you know, changed or closed or whatever it was. And he went on to create Goli. And Goli, a lot of folks know, is the apple cider vinegar gummy. That's a monster company now. And he went out there and developed a better way to take apple cider vinegar, because before Goli there was really no other shot of disgusting, you know, gasoline flavored, whatever it was, and people were doing it because they were like, my doctor said this, you know, this is the most healthy thing, and it is healthy for you, right? But people weren't doing it because it was gross, you know, and you had to get the specific one with the mother in it or whatever it's called, and stuff like that. It's just real creepy kind of. So he found a problem that people were facing and made it delicious to take. And that's why his company took off. It's a $1 billion company, right? Because he found a problem that people were having and made a solution, made a better mousetrap, right? And now since he came out, there's 1,000,001 apple cider vinegar gummies out there, but they're still top. They've parlayed into ashwagandha and, you know, green tea and all this other kind of stuff, right? But I use that as an example because, you know, when you solve a problem, you have a good product. Yeah. So if you even take a look at like ice cream scoops, you know, they're a commoditized Me Too kind of product, right? But what's a problem that someone has when they're scooping ice cream? You know, if I'm just spitballing, brainstorming, okay, when I scoop ice cream, the ice cream's too hard and I got to wait to do that. Or when I scoop it, it doesn't come off and I have to scrape it off and stuff like that. There may be solutions out there that are a heated ice cream scoop. I don't know, maybe there is already, but in my head, it would be really innovative to make a heated ice cream scoop that when I scoop it, it doesn't stick to it, and it comes in a couple of colors, and it's made out of a good quality, you know, material and stuff like that. But again, is there a demand for it, right? And that's where PickFood comes in to understand, hey, if you're shopping for these 3 ice cream scoops, what's important to you, right? Yeah. So you're taking competition out there, and you're saying, oh, you're taking a little bit from this one, taking a little bit from that one, taking a little bit. Okay, they like that it has a button on it, but they don't like that it's in stainless steel. They want colors. Okay, cool. What colors do they like? Okay, cool. So if you're not doing that due diligence beforehand and you're just, Alibaba, what do you got for me? All right.
White label, baby.
Yeah, so slap my label on it. Johnny's Ice Cream Scoops, we'll send them out there, because you can't, because they're not dumb. China's selling that exact one in Amazon themselves under some other brand name or anything like that.
Yeah, for super cheap too. I want to ask you about PickFood as an agency, but I want to turn it over to you to ask questions that you have in a more broad sense before we do a deep dive into that, and I'll jump into the PickFood as an agency questions.
Okay. Most of my questions were kind of about the project. So we've been obviously trying to optimize our images. What can we do? We've got, you know, all of the tools. We use Jungle Scout, and we've got the optimized listing copy and all the keyword searches and all of that. Then we've got, you know, we used PickFood and we troubleshot like what we should do, and we're A/B testing and we're doing all of the things, and we're not like seeing a lot of movement in things. We've got A+ content. We fixed the A+ content, all of the things. And so we tried, Steve had an idea, and I call it C testing. He's still calling it A/B testing. It is not, in fact, A/B testing. That we,
did you say Steve testing or C testing?
C. But I could call it Steve testing.
Steve testing.
I just, the next letter is C.
Like, how am I wasting your time today? Today. What it is, you know?
And where we would just go in manually and swap out our image from week to week. And so we were like, okay, what can we do different to our hero image from week to week? And I feel like we kind of hit a wall where PickFood wasn't matching that. And so one of my questions is, have you found that you think A/B testing is super useful with checking your hero images? Is it something that you recommend to people?
You have to, right? So it's, you know, PickFood is like a pre-A/B testing, right? So you need to know, like, are you guys doing like manager experiments on Amazon through the A/B testing, or are you just doing PickFood and then swapping it out yourselves?
We've done both. What we've been doing lately is swapping it out ourselves on the weekly. So just collecting data, like we did this image for an entire week and then this image for an entire week, and just kind of circulating so we can see just that image.
And then what's changing between the images? Like what element are you testing? Is it more position? Is it more offering? Is it more like what's changing between the two?
So we've been doing 3 that we've been, I think, since August. And the 3 images are so we started doing the box because we sell soap. And when you're getting a bar of soap and someone sees just a bar of soap, they need to know there's 300 of them.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be like, why is it that expensive for a bar of soap?
Yeah.
So we put the box behind it a while ago. So that's our original, is just our actual diversified hospitality box with our bar of soap in front of it. And then the second would be, we did kind of take the hero image, put a chamomile flower and some honey because it has those ingredients, and some water because it's soap. And
Yeah, we should switch seats. I want to have you come over here, John, and I'm going to
Okay,
go to your
cool.
seat,
Okay.
and you can show him this like breakdown.
perfect. So like this would be what our original images
Got it.
considered. And then so we've got, we tried adding some stuff, and then we hired out 10 of our ASINs out of the 800 to my Amazon guy and was like, what would you do for a bar of soap? And they kind of took what we had done with our original and then added, some green and some,
Yeah.
color popping and things to it.
So here's the thing right here, right? So the way that you're zoomed out right now is very what someone would see on the SERP, right? So that's as small as they're going to get it when it's in the Amazon SERP. So when you're looking at it closer, right, a lot closer, when an image is getting delivered, you can read everything that's on this label right here, right? But when we're going back to how customers are shopping on the SERP, I can't read any of that.
That's a good point.
I can't read whatever's on that tag. I cannot read it. Again, going back to color psychology, I can't really see what those green stamps are. And then the 100 pieces is the biggest value prop that you guys have, and I can't really read it as well.
Okay.
So where I would see about this is like, okay, we're showing 3 soaps, right? We're not showing the soap out of the package. We are showing the soap out of the package here, but we're showing 3 soaps. So I would rather see
This right in front of this.
Yeah, this right in front of this would be a better version,
Okay.
right? And then taking this is very wordy. I'm going to try and zoom in as much as I can on this. So it says gently cleanses and moisturizes skin. Cool. Is that a value prop that people need to know when they're buying this, right? I would assume that most soaps are going to do that.
Yeah.
So now I can read that it's 100 pieces. Now I can read all this kind of stuff. But again, taking a look at it from SERP level, I can't read any of that kind of
Okay.
stuff. So
That's
I
a
think
good
it's,
point.
I think it's good that you're using the box. But when we say eco, is it botanicals?
Eco Botanics, but yeah, I don't
Botanics?
think anyone has ever bought us for our brand name. Like
But-
that.
but-
yeah.
Yeah. So what's the value prop? The value prop is it's 100 pieces, right, of eco-friendly soap that smells like what? I don't know from this image.
Okay.
So I could kind of see that it's 100 pieces, but it needs to be super clear. So the way you mitigate that and abate that is just by doing a post-it on the box. Now, does your actual box look like this?
Yeah, that is our actual box that my Amazon guy added whatever this is.
Does it say 100 pieces on the actual box
Yes.
though? Right? So what I would do is do a post edit on there where it's in your colorway. So what are the brand colors here? Is there any or no?
Not specific to that. Diversifieds are like a dark blue and
Yeah. So if there's no real colorway of like branding, I would rather see like a white rectangle with black lettering on top of it.
Okay.
Since we're already doing post edits, that says 100 pieces, or the word or the phrase 100 much larger, so that people understand what they're getting. And then who is it for? Who is going to be buying this? It's not me.
yeah.
I'm not buying this. You know,
Yeah. I don't need
I
100
smell this
pieces.
bad. No, but you know, it's who is it mainly for? And then you'd want to say 100 pieces, eco whatever soap, good for bing, bing, bing. Who is it good for? Good for Airbnbs, good for hotels and hospitality, good for restaurants, good for small businesses. Who is it good for?
Okay.
So I think that's
And
one
you
of the
would
most
put that, like, if I'm pulling up this hero image, you would put, so one soap that big, and you'd put that here?
So this is Canva, right? So I can play with
Yeah.
this? Okay.
Yes.
So
We'll play a little song in the background.
do elevator music, right? Put SOP, I have like business on the brain. So, right? And then obviously there where you need it.
Have you seen things like eco-friendly get flagged? I feel like every time
Oh.
I put eco-friendly on anything lately, I get flagged.
Yeah.
They're shut.
Whatever nomenclature you normally use that you red
Yeah.
flag, I'm just filling it just
Yeah,
for right
for
now.
sure.
Yeah. But, and then person 1, person 2, person 3.
Okay.
So who's buying it is what you want to put right here. Good for bing, bing, bing. It's a technical term, bing, bing, bing.
I like it.
Putting it right there. And then removing, it's just grouped together. It's one image. So,
So just remove
yeah.
them and put one.
Yeah. Put one in the package, one outside the package, and then the scent profile next to it.
Okay.
That's gonna, if you say who it's for,
Okay.
right? If you say this is good for Airbnb, if you say this is good for small businesses, if you say this is good for, like, who is it? So what's a typical search phrase that you would kind of rank for something like that?
Hotel soap.
So there you guys are. I'm not going to click on your paid ad. Don't worry about it.
We appreciate that.
So going down here, the H2O, I've seen that brand before, right? So there's nothing really differentiating you from H2O.
We are H2O.
Oh, you are H2O.
That's why they look
right.
the
So
same.
forget it.
We've got like 14 different brands.
Okay,
Very
never
similar.
So
mind.
all
brands
of
there in the
those are
platform.
ours that have the box, and that's why we were trying to change it up. Like, how do we change it up so that if somebody didn't know, like, those are all our brands, they're getting like,
Yeah.
ooh, let's compare these two.
This is you guys too?
Yes.
Okay. So you're running a lot of ads on different brands that are not differentiating why them and why not the other one. So I would think from a branding perspective, you'd want to triple down on a brand color so that this way, if I see a green box, no one's going to care if they get a box that's a brown box. When it's, 100 soaps, they don't really care about it. But I would almost go the way of, okay, if Eco Botanics is green, those are all green boxes. And if H2O is blue colorway, that's a blue box. So people automatically associate this or that.
Those would really stand out too. As
You
well.
can change on the image what your box will look like from, like, I could go in and make this box blue and on every single Eco Botanics, and Amazon won't flag me because my box is in fact brown.
How does Amazon know what your box looks like?
Okay.
Okay. How does Amazon know that there is even a box?
Well, yeah.
We
just hand
exactly.
delivered
They
100.
they
Yeah,
don't
they
know.
don't care.
They don't know.
Okay.
Right. So I could show you supplement listings right now where there's a box behind it that there is no box. It's a
Okay.
total rendered item.
That's good to know, because one of our products that I was going to ask you about is brand new to us, is we're going to start doing, they should be there to port like any minute. We've been waiting on them forever. Is just like an empty pump bottle we sell by the gallon. What do you put the gallon into? So just like an empty
Yeah.
pump bottle. I have them in Canva.
But I think it's important to know, like, on that search term that we just looked up, you guys are dominating that category, and that's cool. But where are you not dominating? Like,
Yeah.
where is someone going to? So I'd be curious after you show me this, like, what
Yeah.
another search term would look like.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got search terms for days to give you guys
Yeah.
to put in there.
So this is one?
Yeah, so just like an empty soap bottle, if it just comes in a brown packaging, I can make the packaging look like whatever I want. To like
but
put
but there's
information about
there's a big caveat with that.
Okay.
You don't want to make the box look giftable and so amazing and ornate that people think that they're going to get this beautiful ornate box, and they don't.
Okay.
You
That's
want to
good.
you want to make it look bare bones, but still a differentiation of, like, okay, this is blue, this is green. 9 out of 10 times when I get something on Amazon, I just rip the box open anyway.
Yeah.
For utilitarian products like this, so this is would be in a pack of multiple or just one?
Just one.
Yeah, just one. No one's really going to care. No one's really gifting a soap dispenser out to someone, at least if they really care about them. I don't know if they're going to gift that kind of thing. I
So
wouldn't
we're
want
sending
that.
you as a gift.
Yeah, so I think that's something that would be okay, and understanding putting the value props on the box, the rendering, whatever it is, saying, how many ounces, perfect for guest bathrooms, this, that, the third, whatever it's going to be utilized for.
Okay.
But I think going back to this,
Yeah.
right? So, like, if I was searching for Airbnb soap, if I had an Airbnb and I had multiple properties and I was like, oh, I want to put soap in there, I might not search hotel soap, right? So if I type in Airbnb supplies, you guys are going over there too. So, but now when we come down here, these are not organic, these are ads, right? So organically, you're not coming up. So Bergman Kelly, that's fair to say a competitor in the space?
Yes.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Somebody get his facial
I knocked
expression.
off Bergman Kelly 6 years ago, and we've crushed him ever since. But they were the first ones to make these little kits
Yeah.
that we sell.
So I think it's important to see how these toothbrushes are doing it, where they're showing every toothbrush under the sun that's inside of it. So that's a good way to show value. The toothbrushes are never going to be shipped sticking out like that. They're going to be in poly bags inside of it. But I think this is a good way too. So I'd be curious to test if you were doing 100 soaps, showing a massive amount of soaps in an open box like this.
We do makeup wipes. That would be an interesting test with just like a pile of makeup wipes.
Yeah,
going on.
because there's a lot of big brands that are doing this outside of this space. So if you take a look at, Cheetos. There you go. Cheetos is doing this. Right?
Okay.
So that Cheetos is showing that, are they showing 40 of them? No, but they're showing enough to take, look at Cheez-Its over here.
Yeah.
And look at, this is a sponsored listing. So this is okay by Amazon's terms, because if this image was not okay, they would not let it run as a sponsored ad.
That's good.
So they're showing the product out here. They're showing a ton, like value, value, value.
Yeah.
So when I go back over here, we're showing this. This is you guys too, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we're showing this, but a better test would be showing this in the front and showing the box open with a ton of the top sticking out of them
Okay.
to understand the value you're getting. But even from this image, I can't tell how many I'm getting.
Okay.
So you could see from here, from the SERP level up or SERP level down, can you read how many is going to come on here on the box?
No.
Oh, no. So we can't expect a
somebody
customer to read that, right? So this is super important, because people might be thinking, okay, $170, right? How many am I getting? Like, I'm not going to click it. But how many am I getting? Like, I don't even know. And if I'm getting, what does that say? I don't want to click it, but is it
300 pieces.
300 pieces? So is it 300 of that variety? And what's the breakdown look like?
Okay. So you would even break that down specifically?
Yeah, on the
like-
box.
Okay.
I would say 300 pieces,
Okay. So
75
we're going to
soap,
click on it,
75
and we're just taking that hit
right.
today. Sorry, Peter.
You just cost us $2.15.
Well, I'll buy it.
There we go.
So this concept, or what's in the box image, you would say translate that onto our hero image.
1,000%. Because
Okay.
you have the real estate. If you go to your hero image,
And then okay.
you have the room on the box. Why am I
Yeah.
not saying that?
Okay. Perfect. I like this feedback. And then where we talk about that they have white tea and coconut in our ingredients, that needs to be shown in the image as well. Is there a point where we're showing too much?
Yes, when you're doing multiple things that are overlapping each other. So right now, I don't know what scent this is.
Okay.
So I don't know what scent it is. I don't know how many pieces it is, even though it says it. But from the SERP level
Yeah.
up, I don't know the scent. I don't know how many pieces. I don't know what the breakdown. I don't know who should be buying it and who should not be buying it. That's what I need to know to make the purchase. But going back to this image over here, is that like cream that's dripping? That the words are on top of? Is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah, I think I just put it on.
Yeah, so I think that it's better to be more purposeful with that kind of stuff. So 60 bottles of body wash, show the bottle, and then show like a hierarchy behind it of like running into infinity of like how many, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
behind
show
it,
60 bottles.
60 bottles of conditioner, blah, 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 like it's
Oh,
running like
okay.
that. So
I
people
like that.
understand, because you're saying the phrase 60 all over the place, okay? But you're making me read,
Okay.
right? So it's 60, oh, I'm looking at this opposite way. Wait, hold on. What was I just looking at? I felt like I was looking at a different image. Okay, I was looking at this initially I didn't see that there was bottles here.
Okay.
I don't know why it just didn't come across like that. I was just looking at the actual background itself. So yeah, we'd want to show 60 showing behind them. No, this was the image I was looking at. Wait, this is bottles. My mind is playing tricks on me because, okay, unfocus your eyes for a second. Unfocus your eyes. Pretend that the white space is like drippy shampoo and that was the background. Maybe you can't see it, but that's my
I was
weird.
like, maybe if I like.
Yeah, that was my weird brain that was seeing it like that. But anyway.
I was like, I mean, I feel like it's just white.
Yeah,
Dawn, but
no.
I'll go with drippy shampoo.
Drippy shampoo. That's
Okay.
just where my mind was for a second. But understanding that we're not showing any avatars in here. You're not showing happy smiling faces. You're not showing who's using it.
We very much went away from showing them. They're starting to show up in my A+ now. Like if you scroll down to the A+, you've got a happy person in a bathtub or whatever. But Steve's family, and then no, not even a happy person in this one. But it was because it almost like they was coming across very fake for a while. Like we had him and I didn't like it, so we moved away from it. But
even like this brand story module, you're not taking advantage of everything else. There's like 10 plus modules you can put inside
Okay.
here. They all have alt text behind them for SEO and ranking. It's going to help with conversion,
Okay.
and you have to take advantage of that. But the idea is that you really want to show, like, Steve's family is great, but no offense, Steve. I didn't come here for the family. I want to know more. Like, the family belongs more in a module over here.
okay.
I came down here to know what more the brand has for me, right?
Okay.
So that's like first and foremost, because people buy from people, yes, but people buy good products that they need first.
Okay.
So understanding that, I don't see an Airbnb owner. I don't see someone turning a key going into an Airbnb. I don't
Okay.
see a small business hotel. I'm not seeing any of that. I'm seeing the end result from someone that is a customer of your customer. That makes sense?
Yeah.
That's where
She's already in the hotel. We need the person who's buying it.
Yes, you're selling to the customer, but you're merchandising it to the customer's customer, right?
Okay.
Right. So they're not buying it for that experience. They're buying it to have their customer have that experience.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Can I ask a specific question on one of these? Can we pull up a gallon on there? Because we're doing a huge push in 2025 for gallons. We think that there's a few $1 million a year for us to pick up just in gallons alone, especially by having a very eco option along with all the luxury options that we have of gallons specifically for hospitality. Vacation rentals is the key. What would you do with a gallon to get that to stick out? And maybe if you want to type in gallon of shampoo or gallon of body wash to see what pops up today, of what's going to
So
pop
I
up.
pulled up our Infuse A just because we have the different options. We sell a set of gallons, we sell gallons of pumps, and then if you just want a gallon of shampoo.
So first thing is, I have no idea what I'm looking at. This could be industrial cleaner. This could be floor cleaner. This could be multi-purpose cleaner. I do not know that this is soap or shampoo, 1. I do not know that this is lavender mint, 2. And I don't know the value prop, 3.
Okay.
So right off the bat, also angles are super important. So you see how these boxes are angled left to right, left to right? This is right to left.
Do you feel like the 1 gallon, we were talking about this today, I actually have one of my designers just pulling the box from the 1 gallons and doing lavender and mint next to it with a tag that says 1 gallon? Because I almost feel like, does there need to be a box if it comes 1 gallon, or do you feel like we utilize the box?
You need the box,
Okay.
but you have to merchandise the box.
Okay.
Just having the box without any merchandising on it is a waste.
Yeah.
It's not doing anything for you.
Okay.
So any element that you add into your hero image has to have some weight to
other
do
ones
it. But I think, so going back to that real quick.
So this is what it's gonna, this is our product, and I was testing.
Yeah.
The box right now is being A/B tested with this.
So I'd be careful with that because right now that's not on a white background. That's on a colored background with that water ripples in the bottom. That it doesn't resonate to me,
Okay.
right? A better version of it would be the gallon with suds around it, maybe sitting in suds, right? The scent profile next to it, and then the box saying very clearly what it is and who it's for.
Okay.
But again, the angle of the box cannot be this way.
Okay.
And do you know why?
No,
tell you.
I want you to tell me.
So in Western culture, for the most part, everyone's reading left to right. So psychologically, people look here, then they go here, then they go here. So when you click, this isn't sponsored, right? No. So when you click here, right, If the box is angled this way, the box is bringing me to the product, to the title, and then the price and the buy now button. This is bringing me over here. There's nothing over here.
Okay.
So you have to do that. Right now you have a box that says 1 gallon, all this other kind of stuff. The actual image itself says nothing about what it smells like.
Right.
So I don't get the sudsy texture feel. I want to know. So if you look at, you could almost take a page out of La Roche-Posay. Don't ask me why I know this, because my wife buys this expensive stuff. They're monsters in the category for skincare. They literally do $3 to $4 million a month on some listings, right? But if one thing you could take away from this, I'm not even going to guide you to it, but what's one thing you notice about all these listings right here?
Okay, so I've watched your videos and I know it's to add the cream behind it.
It's adding the cream, adding the actual product behind it, right? Because
And I watched you do it on Canva and I know how.
yeah, because it's going to show people transparency. Because if I
Yeah.
look at this, I'm like, okay, is this like a light blue color? Is it like, now if you were to take this and rotate the box the proper way, merchandise the box, put suds around it over here, then behind everything, just do a peeking out of like a smear of what that texture looks like. That's a home run image. That tells everything you need to know within that one hero image, and someone can buy.
So for this image specifically, it's white tea and coconut. Would you put some white tea and coconut, or would you just in big letters write like white tea and coconut? on
What
the
does it
box?
smell like?
White tea. It's my favorite smell. White tea and coconut.
White tea and
It's
coconut.
Solid.
Yeah, so I would put,
If you're buying one of our products, the white tea
okay,
and coconut.
this is the go-to, okay.
Yeah.
So I would have coconut, and what does white tea look like?
If you go
Yeah, I'll show
out,
you, okay.
back us up. I think the gallon that I went to here, that's what white tea and coconut. And then they put,
Can you click
because it's a
that?
white tea.
Because I think of like a daisy when I look at that.
Yeah. So it's a white tea flower and some white tea, because I thought the white tea was ugly.
Does it
but-
smell more like coconut or white tea?
Well, I don't know what white tea smells
Smells
like,
more
so I'm
like
assuming
coconut.
coconut.
Yeah, it's a very soft coconut scent, and it's
So you,
Yeah.
lovely.
you kind of,
It actually kind of smells like candy.
so you kind of answered your own question,
Yeah.
right? Because
Nobody knows what white tea is. I don't need to put it on the
yeah,
image.
if it's stronger with coconut, then if someone loves coconut smell,
Yeah.
whatever else added into it is a benefit, great. But if they hate coconut, that's the one thing you want to lead in with, right?
Okay.
So when I look at this, it's like, okay, I think of like a daisy, like a flower, stuff like that. And I think of like, this is, if I just take this part about it here and crop it all out, I could take this same post element imagery and put it to like a tea or a coffee or something like that. And that's not really what we're going for.
Okay.
So having, and then this over here, this seems like a very my Amazon guy tactic.
Yeah, we followed what he said to try to troubleshoot
Yeah.
what.
The value prop, and again, it just has to be executed right, right?
Yes.
So having the box behind, having the bottle in front, suds on the bottle, box fully merchandised, slice of coconut, smear behind it, that's telling more information than what we're seeing right here.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's so good.
I want to point out, first off, can you pull up the 9-piece image for Monopoly Skin? Because I know you had an issue with that one, and just get some high-level
Yes.
thoughts. But, dude, if we get a 10% lift in CTR across the 800 products that we sell today, and our conversion rate stays where it's at 10%, to your point earlier, that's $1 million to us. That's $500,000 of profit
Yeah.
to us. And it just shows the value of the science that you've dedicated yourself to over the last 2 years, that you can impact a company just by sitting down right here and doing this, potentially $500,000. And we're not a big Amazon seller.
Yeah.
We sell $10, $12 million a year. A lot of these larger sellers who are not sitting down with someone like you who can have a huge impact on them, like how much money could you make them? I'll shut up right there. We'll come back to that conversation. But first, let's look at this Monopoly Skin.
Okay, so it's not even on Amazon yet. I was checking because we started to get Vine reviews, but it's not even on Amazon yet for purchase. But we just started doing images and stuff for this company. And so I can almost, once we're selling just these products individually, what you just showed me makes so much sense. You put like a smear behind it and you've got, but is there a way to optimize the fact that this comes with 3 boxes and all of the products that you see in each of these images together? Sorry, 1, 2, 3. in this product line. And I was like, I don't know how to optimize this. It's so dark. It's so many products. You want to see that you're getting all of these products. And I know without being able to like move them around, would you take the boxes out of it and just line up the products?
This is the hero image?
Yeah. And so like I said, it's not even on Amazon yet. So I have time to mess with the hero
Yeah.
image. I was struggling to find a way to show everything that was.
Yeah. So how many pieces is this and what is it?
9 pieces total, full-on skincare set of
Yeah.
the base that everyone should be using over a week's
Yeah.
routine.
Yeah. So can I modify this image?
I mean, you can move it around, but you wouldn't be able to like take things out of
Oh,
it.
no. I just
Oh.
I didn't know if I could
Yeah,
post
you
edit or
can.
anything like that. So it has to be bigger, right? So
Yeah. No, I set this Canva up literally for you to mess with
Oh,
anything
okay.
on it. So
Okay, cool.
you can do whatever you want.
So, with something like this is the box. So it comes with 3 boxes, right?
Yeah.
So when you're doing something like this, you want to, and you just take any color, it's fine for what we're all intents and purposes. I heard someone say the other day, intensive purposes. And I was like, intensive
I've been
purposes?
guilty of doing that. I think I found out like this year that's actually
Intense.
intense
I was like,
purposes.
intensive. What kind of purposes are we talking about? So, why am I not getting the gradient? I have to open this up. Sorry.
No, you can definitely do it. He was just moved it so that.
Yeah. So this is the first thing you want to do is this. And you can play with the curves or anything like that for corner rounding or anything like that. But you want to, we'll just keep it straight like this. You want to say very clearly what this is on the box over here as a post edit, right?
Okay.
So 9 piece, right? So coming over here and, many folks that are creative directors or creative people that are stuck to brand guidelines will cringe at some of the stuff that I'm talking about, but this is all merchandising for the click, right?
Yeah.
So again, if we're looking at this and change it to, whatever kind of colorway is on brand,
Yeah, that's not the specific.
yeah,
things.
just,
Yeah,
whatever
go
it
with
is,
it.
right?
Yeah.
So, even something like this, we're changing this out to, let's say white, but it's still color tones like that. And then you're putting the actual phrase of 9 piece skin care, whatever the word that we're looking to go with over here, right? This is the post edit that you want to do. This is what's going to tell people exactly what it is and why.
Okay.
It
That was
does-
way too simple. Thank you.
Yeah, no. So it doesn't have to be, because otherwise without that, if I go back to this, I have no idea what I'm looking at.
Yeah, and that's what I was struggling with. I was like, we're about to go to Amazon, and I'm not actually sure. This is a brand new product for us. How do I like get it all in there?
Yeah. So a lot of it is also going to be about, and again, I don't have the original asset with like
Yeah.
the individuals, but what you would want to do too is try and play with the positioning of the bottles, right? So, when we have, again, this is like a down and dirty because I don't have the
Yeah.
original, but maybe instead of showing 2 over there, you're showing 2 over
So
here.
there's 4 completely different products.
Oh, they're 4 yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but that's
one's retinol, one's.
But that's
vitamin
okay.
C.
But that's okay because I can't read any
Yeah,
difference over
that
here.
makes sense.
So it's more perceived value. So it's
Okay.
like you're explaining more. You're trying to explain. You're laying it out like you're trying to explain everything on the main hero image, and you can't.
Okay.
So what you want to do is put those 4 bottles nestled together, and then you're expanding on what those 4 bottles are in the image stack and in the PDP and the A+. But the perceived value is it's 9 pieces. So whether that's 3 jars, 4 bottles, 2 pumps, or whatever it is,
Yeah.
that's what needs to be. And I'm almost, now that I'm looking at it, not seeing the value in the
The
2 boxes, right? So I'd almost rather see the 1 box grouped with everything together in front, stacked, stuff like that. So it looks more like I'm getting so much, right? Versus this, it's like, it almost seems like a hassle. Like, I gotta get 3 boxes. Like, how does it actually ship?
I mean, you are getting 3 boxes because it's 3 individual items, but we're selling those 3 individual items
As a bundle,
together, so
yeah.
you can buy.
That's fine. We could expand on that in the image stack, right? But there's no perceived value in showing these boxes over here. We're really focusing on the products themselves,
Got
and
it.
spreading them out is kind of counterproductive because what it's making you do is making everything look smaller.
Okay.
Versus if you had the bottle here and then a bottle in front of it and then a bottle to the next of it, it's kind of nestled together like, okay, there's 4 of those, there's 3 of these, there's 2 of
Got
those.
it, yeah.
And then you're expanding on that in the image stack.
Let me ask you a question because you insinuated this earlier, but to all of the brand managers and creatives who are out there that say, well, John, like our brand is clean, minimalist design, and you're telling me to use the real estate on this box to optimize for clicks. Like, what do you say to compel that person that you're wrong about this?
Money. do you want more sales on Amazon or not? What's more important to you, branding guidelines or sales? If it's branding, if it's strictly a branding play and you're just on Amazon because you have to be there, right? And you don't care about really being tactical, then that's what you're okay with. But if you're looking to really increase your brand share, increase your sales, you want to be tactical with
Makes
it.
sense.
Yeah, it's a good answer. Like, do you like money? Would you like to make more
It's
money?
true. It's true because
this.
if you don't, and if you're very gung ho of like, no, my creative director, my branding guidelines person, they only want to do this. We're very Apple 2.0 streamlined, and you see this with a lot of A+ content where you go into the A+ content and it's just like, ooh, a bottle, and it's like sublime. You have that kind of room in real estate when I go to your D2C website. I purposely went to your D2C website knowing that I want to potentially buy from you. You have the elbow room to wow me.
Okay.
You don't have the room to wow me when there's 90 other people around you.
Yeah.
Like you have to sell,
Can you
sell,
pull
sell.
up one of the just regular kit images just so we can get an idea of
Like,
what those
on
boxes
Monopoly?
look like? Yeah, on Monopoly, just like the hero image on either monopolyshop.com or just on Amazon.
Yeah, I just
Just so
have
you
to
can
scroll down.
see, okay, you've got that there.
Yeah.
So you've got like that box, very blank, very minimal. And one of the things that like I can get into an argument with someone very easily on when it's brand over sales. Like the only reason you get to worry about brand is because we have sales.
Yeah.
And getting more sales will let you focus more on brand.
Yeah.
But sales must come first in every company
Yep.
that's there. And I don't know, maybe if you're building the next Dior and we're willing to forego revenue to get to what can be $1 billion company down the road, hey, maybe now that all makes a little bit of sense to me. But are our pockets deep enough to become the next Dior? No.
But look at people like La Roche-Posay, which I've showed you that example of. It's a monster company. It's it's not cheap. It's extremely expensive. Right? It's a good product for what it does, and they're doing these tactics.
Yeah.
So there's no space on Amazon for someone to rest on the laurels of, hey, we're this monster brand, right?
That's phenomenal. So like, you can look at La Roche-Posay on Amazon versus what they do on their direct-to-consumer website and see two very different brands, I imagine. And you'd say for anyone who's getting into skincare, that's a brand that you'd want to knock
Yeah.
off their tactics.
Yeah, I mean
do a lot
that's
more.
when someone's pushing 200,000 units, not sales, units of something monthly. That's $20 to $40. Yeah, what they're doing is best practice, and you should emulate that. Right?
Yeah, yeah. What's the breakdown for you when you think about copying what the big brands are doing versus being innovative for newer sellers who are trying to establish themselves on Amazon or in direct to consumer? What would that breakdown be for you of copying what the big guys are doing versus being innovative to do something that no one's tried before?
So I wouldn't look at it as copying what big guys are doing. I would look at it as taking tactics that will work and confirming with the big guys if they're doing it. Say, aha, they're doing it, so I'm okay to do it. I would never look at a big brand and say, oh my God, I want to be just like them. I'm going to do whatever they do. No, because what if they're doing is crap? Like, you don't want to do that too, right? So I would take, first thing is tactics, and is this going to work? Taking a look at the real estate on Amazon in the space and seeing if big players are doing it. And if they're doing it, how can you make it a little bit better, right? So La Roche-Posay, they're not doing boxes. They're doing the smear, but they're not doing boxes. So if I was in the skincare business, I would do the smear because they're doing that. I would one up with
How
the
would that
box.
translate with a 3-product system, though? Would you just go with a smear anyways? Like, if I
It's
pulled this
hard.
box and these two are creams, but this one is a
Yeah,
serum.
yeah, it's hard because whenever something is multi kind of elements when it comes to what you're including in, you can't really hone in on specifically because it's different
Yeah.
smells, different things, different that.
Yeah.
So something like this, I would say, you know, the dropper, I would take the dropper off of it and put it catty corner to the side, showing the fluid inside of it or behind it to show that it
Okay.
drops so I could see what it looks like. And for one of the jars, I would take the lid off, put it next to it, and show the top part of the cream.
Okay.
That's compelling and gives transparency.
Love it.
Yeah. But it's hard when you have something that has a kit or a bundle with everything all in one.
Yeah.
It's easier to take a look at it like, okay, if you took just this serum right here, there's a million things you could do with just the serum over here that wouldn't parlay or translate to with a bundle.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Can we talk about some agency stuff?
Absolutely.
Talk about some money?
Absolutely not.
You know?
No.
Okay, because like I've already articulated, you sit down here with a brand like us that is a leader in our niche on Amazon. We own about 40% of that market. So whatever we do, all of our competitors are going to copy and start doing the same thing. So you being here today, you're helping out our competitors. And for that, I say, well, welcome to the club, because they've been knocking off all the stuff we do, from our video ads to the images that we use, almost exactly to a T. Now, the benefits of optimizing for Amazon's algorithm and getting the reviews that we have is that even in our B2B, we get 250 reviews. B2B, we're so far ahead of them from a social proof standpoint that we can really be relatively far ahead, but we have to continue to innovate. So let's talk about the John Aspinall agency, because you sit down here and drop this knowledge that if we deploy this knowledge, and this is on you, Jackie,
Yeah,
to figure out how to deploy all of this
No
across
pressure,
800
no pressure.
products, that can be millions of dollars more in sales for us. We sit at 40% today. That market's growing, but what market share can we take from our other competitors because we stick out more on the page? Especially, we look at some keywords that we rank very well for today. What about the other ones we don't rank so well for that we can increase that rank over time? Before we jump fully in, I am curious your perspective on a company like ours that has 10 brands of similar products that have different value props in them, but most of it's different pricing associated with them. You would want those brands to stand out from each other. How would you want to distinguish a family of brands so that maybe they are kind of competing with each other and it's like we're giving ourselves more real estate across different searches that come through? Or do we do the same updates to every single brand the exact same way? To me, I think we have to try and be experimenting at all times. What are your thoughts on that?
So like the ones we took a look at just now, I believe it was Eco Botanics and H2O.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have them all be the same color branding, then why have different brands? Like, what's the main, like, it's going back to the root of why do you, as a brand owner, have different brands? Is it because you're targeting a different ICP or avatar? Or is it just you want to dominate the SERP, but you don't want to dominate the SERP with one brand? Like, I'd ping back to you and ask you, why do you have multiple brands in the same kind of thing?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that makes our industry relatively unique, is that when someone is going through and they own a vacation rental and they're choosing the soap that they want to put into that vacation rental, it's the funniest thing to me because it's such a small item that goes in there. But the amount of expression that an Airbnb host gets to put into the soap and shampoo on the counter. Think about, we did some research on what people do when they walk into a hotel room, and then we extrapolated that into vacation rentals. But you walk into a hotel room, it's really just a bathroom, a bed. And so there's like the three things that people do based on our polls. They will open the curtains to look at the view. They'll hop on the bed to test it out to see how comfortable it is. And then they walk into the bathroom. And the one thing that stands out in the bathroom is, what are the amenities that are being offered to me here in this hotel? They're going to
what I
open it
do,
up. They're going to smell it.
yeah.
They're going to sniff it. And so when we did our poll, like, those were the three things that people do first, especially in the days when everyone would take that tube home with them
Yeah.
and put it into their purse and decide, is this one going to go with me or is it going to stay here?
I'm going to stop you there for a second because
Yeah.
it's super interesting, because we're big Disney people, my wife and I, and we love Disney, going to Disney, the whole overall experience down to the resorts. it's funny that you're in this space because the Disney products that are inside Disney used to be very much everything's here. You can take it with you. And we would hoard it like it was
Yeah.
post-apocalyptic America because it was so awesome.
Yeah.
But now they've gone the way of, I'm sure you've seen this, like chaining things up and locking them up and
Yes.
stuff like that. But there's now a bigger market for Disney to sell that product that you had the experience for to take home with you,
Yeah.
which we've tripled down on and we've buy it nonstop. So it's so interesting that you have a good experience at a hotel or in a room or anything like that, and you're like, sometimes you're like, I love this. This is great. And sometimes you're
Yeah.
like I was recently in Seattle for Amazon Accelerate, and the hotel, I forgot the name of the hotel that we were at. I didn't bring any toiletries and stuff like I brought the basics like a toothbrush and stuff like that. But I didn't bring soap. I'm just like, oh, they're gonna have it. It smelled horrible.
Yeah.
It was like it was a very heavy tea tree, like patchouli. Like I was like, man, this is rough. And I would not return to buy an additional one for me to bring home.
Yeah.
But something like Disney, I'm like, this stuff is amazing. It brings me back to a time when I'm like having fun and enjoying and excitement. So I would buy that. So it's interesting that you're in that space where you're connecting emotions about maybe someone's having a good time, maybe it's a birthday weekend, a holiday, celebrating a wedding, anything like that.
Yeah.
And we want to replicate that and bring that home.
And it's super interesting study that tied to those happy moments, and then that smell that triggers it. We talk about how I've a bit of a low class foodie in that I'm recreating my childhood with the foods that made me feel really happy, or like the 6th birthday party. And that's why as an adult, I get chicken nuggets and sweet and sour sauce from McDonald's, because like I'm still the 6-year-old at heart, you know, it brings me back to that moment. It is the best sauce.
We can
Like,
still be friends now because you sweet and sour. Anyone,
there we go.
anyone that goes with barbecue or
No.
my wife goes with the ranch. I'm
Yeah.
like, ranch with chicken nuggets?
You can have ranch
No, no
anywhere.
thanks.
You can only have McDonald's sweet and sour sauce at McDonald's.
Well,
But I will,
why
I
is
will say this. I
McDonald's-
will say this. We just got a Chick-fil-A here in Staten Island not too long ago. And I don't know what it's called, a Chick-fil-A. Are you a big Chick-fil-A?
Polynesian
Chick-fil-A
sauce.
Not the Chick-fil-A sauce.
Polynesian
sauce.
Because if you love sweet and sour sauce, you love
That's the
Polynesian
that's the
sauce.
I haven't
McDonald's
tried
sweet
it.
and sour
I always go for
sauce.
their honey
Oh,
mustard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I
If
will
you haven't
go
tried
get
Polynesian sauce, it will change your life and add to the addictive qualities that Chick-fil-A already has inherently in it in the first place.
Okay.
I
I'm
purchased one of the bottles
Yes.
of it because
Yeah.
it was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
You can
I
find
would
it in
like to go get
stores.
Chick-fil-A.
Like Chick-fil-A sauces are now in stores. You can get them, or you can
Yeah,
order them
I
in
buy the regular
drive-thru,
Chick-fil-A
too.
sauce for Jenna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy. I mean, it's unbelievable. But you tie that to these happy moments and these feelings. And like we're in an industry that people sometimes when they ask what we do for a living and we say that we sell soap, they don't know if they need to apologize or like, are you guys doing okay?
Sorry to hear
Like,
that.
you know,
Times
like,
are tough, huh?
Can you
I
make
guess
a living that way? Like it's very confusing that no one like really knows where those little soaps and shampoos come from. But yes, in a company that has 15 brands of those, 10 of which we offer on Amazon, we're thinking through from that host perspective. And you alluded to it earlier. That host is not going to be the one that consumes these products.
Yeah.
It's going to be somebody else that they're thinking about when they buy it. And that host is trying to curate an experience for those guests that ultimately gets them a 5-star review, because that's what basically all the good things that happen for Vacation Rental Manager happen after a 5-star review. They can charge more for the property, so they make more money. They have job security from the person that they're renting the house out for because they're making that person more money.
Yeah.
And so if their need is to get a 5-star review, how do we tie our product to helping them get that 5-star review? Now, if you take the hotel data that we have, that it's one of the top 3 things that people do when they walk into a hotel room, is it the same way for that vacation rental guest who walks in, like a long day of travel, you walk in the bathroom and you're looking at what is in the bathroom as far as amenities go, and does it match the decor of the house, the geographical region that this property is in? Does it make sense? Have they put thought into that, or did they just kind of slap some products together and put it here in the bathroom for me, and they don't really care about like how I feel about it?
Yeah.
We've noticed that the hosts that care about the 5-star review put a ton of thought and effort into it matching the home decor.
Yeah.
Or at the very minimum, like matching like the geographical. It's a desert region. Okay, they want our desert breeze
Yeah, you don't want to
line,
go to a
you
cabin
know?
in the woods and then inside there it's going to be like Caribbean breeze, scent or anything like that. That's not going to resonate. No, it totally makes
So
sense.
that's why the 10
that's
brands.
why we have so many brands there. And we noticed that geographically, our Aqua Organics line that I think is a good looking line, but I wouldn't put it into our top 10. You go to the state of Florida and we freaking crush it in
It's
Florida
got, like,
with Aqua
seashells
Organics.
on
It's got the ocean
Yeah.
on there. And so it's just it matches the vibe for it. But that's why we have these 10 different lines on Amazon that there's still the budget ones that are always going to do the best because they're cheaper. But even our cheapest product is going to be at least 50% higher than our competition. Most of it is actual Chinese manufacturers. Some of it is our manufacturer that we know we're friendly with, and they're someone I consider to be part of the moat that keeps people out of the industry. We have like the top tier, and they're more of like the bottom level, competing on price. Like you want to compete with them or
Commodity
compete with
stuff.
us,
Yeah,
you know? But like that whole ecosystem, and you think about us having those 10 brands, how would you position from a CTR standpoint our budget lines from our luxury lines that we offer for people that want to provide the luxury experience? And newsflash, like 80% of Airbnb hosts consider their property to be a luxury property, whether or not it's a shack. To them, it's a luxury
some
property.
dungeon in Midtown Manhattan.
Right?
And you're like, this is prime stuff.
Like I
fellas.
rented you my luxury. I need a luxury amenities to go inside.
Well,
I
will say, we have this one pulled up on the screen over here, and this isn't something that goes in.
No, so these are the skincare line. It's
So I will say
separate,
that I
These are
judge-
all of our.
Okay, I will say that I'm a very snobby hotel guest. That if I see like perfect, this one right here, is that a clear bottle or is that a tinted
They're
bottle?
colored. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a huge snob with colored bottles.
Oh.
Whenever I could see a clear bottle where I know what is inside before I put it on my hand,
These are clear.
I'm always a go-to, like a clear tube or anything like that. I was in a hotel, not this last time, I think when I went to Texas, Austin, Texas, and everything in there was a black bottle. Black tube, black dispenser, black this.
We
And I'm
have
like,
those.
what are you hiding? Why are you making me put this on my hands to see if this is clear, if this is cream, if this is tinted? Like for me as a consumer, as a guest and stuff like that, I want the more transparency, literally and figuratively, that you can give, the better in my eyes, because it's like, okay, what are you hiding? That's, that might be the jaded New Yorker in me.
No, but that's a great question to be asking, because I'll put you on some game here inside of the industry. And like, granted, my largest investment holding is a hospitality company that makes these bottles.
Before you say it though,
Yes.
I think I know the reason why they're not clear and why they're tinted.
Okay. What do you think it is?
It's because of the formula inside exposing to light. It could break it down.
Okay. So there's an element to that, but that's not the largest reason why. Especially when you have these shift from single use to dispensers, where every hotel that you go into now, it's almost like across the board, very few of them still offer that single use bottle because there's these state regulations that make them make a change. So everyone went and now is going and jumped very quickly from single use tubes that no one else touched but you to these pumps. Well, now you have a challenge as a hotel to, in a post-COVID world, convince someone that you're the first person that ever touched this pump, which is already gross when you actually break it down and start thinking about like the hands that were on it. The nicer hotels have gone as far as to at least put a plastic cover on top of it so that you know, hey, I think you maybe sanitize this in between guests. But the reason that the bottles in a hotel are not see-through that we know is that you have to hide the bacteria buildup that happens inside the tube. And this is gross when you think about it. People that are in the industry know this. People that aren't, this may gross them out. When you're opening up a bottle of body wash on a daily basis as a house cleaning staff, you're exposing air and contaminants into what is a clean system. I mean, it's soap, but then you're refilling it. And as that refill happens, we've seen between 3 and 6 months, there's a visible bacteria buildup that takes place inside of this dispenser. That if you're not taking that off the wall and actually decontaminating it and then refilling it up from scratch, which is a huge lift for hotels to go through after they've made a decision to go to those, because it's both eco-friendly, but also it's easier for them. It's more cost effective to just pour gallons back into that too. So instead, if all you have is a little line at the bottom that shows if it needs to be refilled or not, then they can just come back in and refill it, but it actually hides the bacteria that's being built up inside of that.
Well, I will say, congratulations, because you've just convinced me to lug my bar of soap
Right?
with me
He's getting
wherever
us
I
a
go.
box
You
of
can buy from us
ecobotanic
on
soaps today.
Amazon.
And I will
All these
just
listings,
take it with
okay?
me right through TSA, because that is, because I was thinking either because of being exposed to the light, moreover, but then also for keeping it fill all the time, because I went into my head immediately how Heinz ketchup is now a tinted red container of ketchup and not see-through.
Yeah.
But I will not buy those. 'Cause
Yeah.
typically you'll see those at commercial establishments because they don't want people, they want to have people refilling it. But now Heinz actually changed the way they're doing things. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
Where they were doing the tinted red for a very long time, but then restaurants were then putting whatever ketchup they wanted in the Heinz squeezy bottle.
But that's probably the bacteria thing too.
Probably that
But
too.
then different
For this.
colors
But
too.
then now, what Heinz is doing is they're going to clear again, forcing commercial places to refill it, but their label around it is the proper color for what the ketchup should look like. So you can know as a restaurant guest if that was refilled with non-Heinz ketchup versus Heinz ketchup by their new label. It's clear bottle, but it's white, and in between the white is the proper red Heinz. So if it looks different, it's not Heinz ketchup.
Then you know. Yeah, you got to put the customer on the game, because it forces the establishment to come back and rebuy fresh bottles and do it over again.
Yeah.
Anyone who's gone
Power
to bulk
move.
and refills is having that conversation. But this is maybe a bold statement. I predict that even with these state regulations about going from single-use hygiene to these bulk dispensers, when the public realizes what's going on inside that dispenser and that due care is not being taken by the hotel staff to make sure that there is no bacteria inside of that, either the guests in bulk are going to stop using what's been provided for them because can't trust what's in there actually being sanitary
I'm
and
not
clean.
anymore, for sure.
Or do we go back in time? This is my prediction, that we're going to go back in time to single-use amenities, just with a more eco-friendly flavor to the single use. So biodegradable tubes that are still made from plastic that can either be recycled or decompose in a landfill over time.
But I have a
because
question with
people don't want to deal with that.
I have a question with that, right? If you do your due diligence and research, forgive me for saying this, anyone that's eco-friendly out there, but how many Americans actually care about where those tubes are going or what's being done with them when they're in an Airbnb and a hotel environment?
Yeah.
Most folks do not care.
Yeah.
There's a slight percentage of folks that are like, oh, go green, eco-friendly. Yes, save the world. Yes, we all live here. It's great. But is that forefront in someone's mind versus, I used it, I don't care about it?
They don't care, but you know what? I'll tell you, the poll data versus the real data is very different on this one. You get into these like social elements where I'm polling you, putting your name down on this. Hey, do you care about the environment? Like, I dare you to say no.
Yeah,
I
you're not
dare you
gonna-
to say
yeah,
no.
no.
It's like people will go along with it and be like, oh, I mean, I want to do things that are good for I don't want the ocean to be full of plastic and all of that. But in reality, if it's going to fuck up your life or your routine to make sure the ocean's a little bit cleaner, 0.00001% cleaner, will you go out of your way to make that happen? And I would venture to guess that 99.999% of people would say, no.
Yeah.
Not
don't
out
wanna do that.
loud, but think
I don't want to do
Public-
that. But
publicly.
poll them, it's
Publicly.
50-50. 50% of people would be like, oh, no, I care about the environment and like climate change and all the rest of that too. But it is not the reality. Okay, we got to talk about the agency now. And based off what we just talked about there, we've identified that for a small little tiny business like ours, like the freckle on the ass of the industry, even
Freckle
just
on the ass.
just inside beauty alone and personal care on Amazon, you can provide this type of value to us. You've been in here with us for dealing with our stuff specifically for the last hour. What is that hour worth to you? Like in your mind, what should companies be paying you to come in and sit down and deep dive on their images and to look at that and spend an hour of your time coming to them and adding value to their business? And before you answer the question, let me preface it by saying, I think that we got $500,000 worth of profit value annually from sitting down with you today, because I know that she's soaking it up. She's got a 10-person team that's going to be actually implementing all of this in our business, and we're going to be iterating and getting better and better and better at this. So we're making $500,000 a year. What is your time worth
Make it a good
to sit
number,
down with
'cause I am
us?
going to ask him if we could do this.
Yeah, no. So it's funny. I speak to people about this. You being one of them that have said, 4 digits per hour. And I look at it and I say, no way someone's going to pay me 4 digits an hour. I'm more into the reoccurring relationship, right? I'm more focused on the MRR and the ARR. I'm not so focused on the one-shot wonders of what value I can add. So when you're looking at that sort of engagement, it's like, yeah, shoot for the skies. Like, if it's going to be a one-shot deal, sure, 4 figures, whatever it is. But historically, what I feel that I want to do to grow as a personal brand and in the space and stuff like that is more the reoccurring revenue. Like, hey, I'm on this journey with you for strategy, for development, for optimization, and we're doing this together. And there's no rev share. So everything I'm telling you, it's not for, tactical sell. This is holistically how it's going to help your business. And I have there's agencies out there that have like we said, a revenue share percentage, and that's good. The idea of you grow, we grow is a good concept. But when they're also in control of your PPC and they're also growing your sales, but your ACOS and your TACOS is going up too, that's not good for you.
Yeah.
Right? So your sales are going up. They're getting more money because, hey, sales are up, revenue's up. But is profit up? Ad spend is up, ACOS is up, TACOS are up. Are we growing organically? Nah, we're still growing, but are we growing organically? Is it strategic? Are we doing the tactics we could be doing to make more without spending more? And most agencies won't do that. Most agencies are going to lean into, okay, optimize, but then PPC, and then do this and then PPC, and then we'll do this and we'll do some DSP, and we'll do this. And, and Amazon likes that, right? But also Amazon likes good reviews, repeats, subscribe and save. They like when you use other elements like Amazon Posts. Do you guys use Amazon Posts?
Yeah, yeah.
Most folks don't even use that. That's just, you can even advertise on Amazon Posts now too.
Yeah.
Most folks don't do UGC content through TikTok, driving sales to Amazon. Most folks don't run X ads on Twitter. No one does that.
Oh, we don't do that.
No one does Google ads. Have you ever heard about getting a negative ACOS?
Negative ACOS? Is that the brand referral bonus on that? Yeah.
You use Google referral, Google ads to run it to your listing, right? If it's done properly, a lot of folks say, oh, it's impossible. It's done properly. You're getting the referral from the traffic you're sending from Google, and that's going towards your fees, right? So in essence, you could potentially obtain a negative ACOS if done properly.
Yeah, which is crazy because that's unlimited advertising right there. Getting
Yeah.
paid to advertise elsewhere.
And if you were to open up this hack, if you open up a non-for-profit, not non-for-profit, what's it called? There's something with Google that if you do, is it a not-for-profit? I think it's a not-for-profit.
Okay.
Where you get $10,000 or $20,000 a month for free from Google to run ads.
Okay.
So people are doing that to use tactical ways. White hat, black hat, gray hat.
Yeah.
I don't really know per se, but there are these nuances that people are doing, and they're finding that, okay, Amazon's not the be all end all say all. Amazon is the 800-pound gorilla in the room, but there's a couple of chimpanzees in the room too that want some bananas thrown at them, right? There is the Temus in the world, there is the Walmarts, there is the Instacarts, there is the TikToks, right? TikTok, Crocs, for example, everyone knows Crocs.
Yeah.
Crocs
Unfortunately.
is trip. You don't like Crocs?
So ugly.
Oh my God. They're ugly, but they're so comfortable.
Very comfortable.
Once I turned 40, I'm like, oh, that's dad apparel right there. So Crocs recently did a TikTok exclusive model. So you can only buy that shoe on TikTok.
Yeah.
Right? And you can only get it over there, but they're still having, not everyone's going to buy that model, but they're going to be put in front of them like, oh, Crocs are cool. What does Amazon have?
Yeah.
You know, so it's a flywheel effect where, you know, if you're leaving a lot of money on the table if you don't go omni-channel. I was never a big fan of omni-channel stuff, like doing the Walmart, doing the Target, doing the this, because it's never going to be as big of a lift as Amazon. But would you rather a lot of money and that's it?
Yeah.
Or a lot of money and some money, a little bit more money, some money over here?
I think the omni-channel with the exclusive products on different channels is the genius behind
The
it.
Crocs.
But
Okay.
it takes a company that's large enough to be able to put that level of effort in and manufacturing expense to do something specific for each platform.
Because
but
you
it
know why
pays
they do
off in
that?
the long
You know
run.
why they do that though, right? Is because when it's on, the specific Croc is on TikTok, you don't have to price compare on Amazon. It's
Yeah.
independent. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what the price is. I can sell it for whatever I want. There's no price matching that's going on.
Yeah.
And if I drop it on Walmart, if I drop it on Target, it doesn't matter, right? Because now that stands independently. And even if someone sees it and they're like you just said, Crocs aren't cool, like whatever, you know, but some people might see that and they might think Crocs aren't cool. Oh, but this creator on TikTok is talking about that.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm influenced by
I've
them.
been influenced.
Yeah.
And I don't like that Croc, but maybe other Crocs are cool and they're going to crocs.com or they're going to Crocs on Amazon. So it really has a residual effect.
Let me go back and like reframe, you know, the value that you bring, because like we're a top 1% seller on Amazon. But what does that mean? Because we're at like the very bottom of the top 1% of Amazon sellers, meaning that we sell at least $500,000 a month in revenue. There's 10,000 Amazon accounts in Amazon.com. So in America, there's 10,000 Amazon accounts that sell at least $500,000 a month on Amazon. And then it goes precipitously downhill from there. But if that's us and we're at the bottom of the top 1%, and the knowledge that you're sharing with us today, if you're only targeting those 10,000 companies to say, okay, what can I do for you? This is the John Aspinall consulting business. Now, if you're not in the top 1%, I've got resources for everyone that's available. This is where the MRR comes into play, the ARR. I've got a course that leads you into a community that is paid, where you're seeing me do this stuff on a daily basis, putting that newsletter that you do today that's for free behind that paywall. So if people want to see what's new and happening in the industry, now that you built this platform up, you're seeing that daily inside the community. Maybe only one a week is being shared with the LinkedIn community and the Twitter community and the rest of that too. So it's a lead magnet to get them in to see, hey, all of my best stuff is right here behind this paywall. If that's for the 90% and you're charging people $9.99 a month, like $10 to have access to what used to be free, because this industry is dynamic and it's changing nonstop, that's for the 90%. But the John Aspinall Consulting Company is for the 10,000 companies that are in the top 1%, that you're like, hey, I can move your needle. Like, I know I can move your needle. And that's an iterative process. The first thing that we may change may not be the thing that bumps it up to 10% lift, but we're going to iterate ourselves to a solution. And when we find that 10% lift, it's going to mean minimum to you $500,000 in profit. That's for these 10,000 companies. So if I can make you $500,000 by sitting down with me for 1 hour, and the next month, another hour, next month, another hour, and we do that over the course of the year, what are companies willing to pay for that type of service? I would almost pull myself out of the mindset of what you think the knowledge is worth, because the knowledge is the same for the people down at the bottom too, but it's more so, what can the knowledge do for the companies that you're working with? And I think that that type of a pricing model, which is more based on, hey, if you're in the top 1% and I'm going to work with you, you're going to pay me $20,000 a year to make this happen. How many customers do you have to get in the top 1% that pay $20,000 a year before you've doubled what you make in your day job today?
Is that an actual question or rhetorical?
You don't have to answer the question. It can be rhetorical, but the point is the thought exercise behind, yeah,
The answer
we
is
pay $20,000 for that,
The answer
right?
is 7.
Okay, so to
the
get
answer
to
is 7.
right? You get to 7 clients out of 10,000. And then we did this yesterday. It was a fun exercise. You break down, okay, a year from now, this is where I want to be, so that I'm making all of this that I get in my day job today, but just through my own company. If I break down my process or what I need to get monthly, so that by the time I get to 12 months from now, I have just 7 clients who are paying me for that service. And whatever happens with the MRR of like down at the bottom, like that's just going to be icing on top of the cake. But these are the clients I work with like long term. I sit down and do a call with them once a month. Okay, if I know I need to get 7, I basically have to close 1 deal every 2 months. So if all you were thinking about between now and the end of the year, if today is October 23rd, so you got 70 days between now and the end of the year, what actions do I need to take to close 1 client at that price point?
Yeah.
At basically $1,500 a month of what they're sitting down to have these types of conversations where you are either on site or behind a computer, just working with them on their images, working with their creative director on their images. And they probably have 30 SKUs minimum, but most of them probably have close to 1,000 SKUs across the different brands that they're collaborating with. That $1,500 a month is very doable for those companies. And I would say that we're still on the low end of the pricing based on the value that you're giving them, because you make them an extra $500,000 this year. That's also next year and the year after that.
Yeah.
And you're teaching them a process by which they can start to do this on their own. They don't necessarily need you forever. It's a matter of building this system for them. It gets me excited for you just thinking about that's 10,000 companies that are here. If you can't close one of those companies every 60 days,
I suck.
like you suck.
Yeah.
Like you can't articulate the value that you're bringing to those companies. You should be able to close a client every 2 weeks just posting on your LinkedIn alone.
Yeah.
Much less if you're actively going after those brands with Google ads, Facebook ads, having a webinar for them to see the value that you bring and having an offer at the end of that that gets them excited about what it is that you can do for them. If we're the bottom of the top 1%, you save us $500,000 or make us $500,000 a year, that mid-tier, you can make them millions of dollars.
So full
a year
transparency,
in
understanding when
profit.
this is coming out, I already have 3 clients right now at $3K a month MRR that I'm doing this with, that they roughly do maybe 250 or 300K a year on Amazon. So we're not even talking about monster people in the space. We're talking about really kind of experienced but not entry level sellers, right? So that's with me not being public about doing what I'm doing. I haven't even launched the site. I haven't even launched it to my 16,000 connections and my 10,000 newsletter subscribers and stuff like that to my newsletter. So it's just going to be like a trap door opening up like as soon as I release that and or expose that. Expose sounds bad. I shouldn't say expose. I should say launch. I'll say
expose
launch.
instead of expose.
Yeah,
It sounds more
put
distinguished,
the French spin on it.
That's right.
But I've spoken to a lot of folks, and they tell me, kind of like how we're talking about right now, I need to hit X amount of people to be at where I'm at now.
Yeah.
I'm already 3 into X.
Yeah.
And I haven't even really gone public with it.
Well, 4 because I'm going to make it.
Okay.
There we go.
So I don't even need to really do that heavy lifting to get to where I need to be. And my goal, and we've talked about this before, my goal is not to be a millionaire, right? If I can live a comfortable life with my family.
With monthly Disney trips.
With monthly Disney trips.
That's right.
If I can make, I'm just going to throw a number out there. If I can make $350,000 a year, will I be happy? Will John Aspinall be happy? 1,000%. Will I be happier at 700,000? Probably not. It'd be nice. It's good for my family and stuff like that. But I work and I do what I do and I do what I love in order to live a happy, free life.
Yeah.
And if that was at 100,000, well, we wouldn't even be having the conversation because I'd be already happy.
Let me ask you this question though. You know Stephen Pope really well. Look at what he's built. Do you think there was a time when he was starting My Amazon Guy that his goal was just to make $350,000 a year?
And I know this directly from being friends with Stephen. His goal was initially to surpass his income after, getting fired or leaving the job, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he did that like right away.
Yeah.
And then he has incremental goals. Like, okay, my next goal is to be a millionaire. Did that. Be a multimillionaire. Did that. Run an agency, the biggest agency in the space. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
So he's never the kind of person and I've asked him, I'm like, you're loaded. Like you just paid off your giant mansion in Georgia. You have all the bells and whistles. You drive an R8, like you're good. He's like, no, I want more.
Yes.
And
And that's what I think will happen to you too, because much like how Stephen Pope's story played out, mine was really no different. Like I remember when I was quitting my job in 2019 thinking, okay, if I can find a way to sell 6 of these hospitality kits a day, I'm making the same amount of money that I make in my day job. So if I can't sell 6 of these kits a day, like I don't have any business being a human being.
You
If
suck.
I can
You
actually
suck,
market
just
it,
like I would
suck.
suck.
Like
You
there's
suck,
no
yeah.
way I can't actually be the case if I put my time and effort into focusing on that. Okay, well, 6 turned into 15, turned into 20. I remember the chart that I had built out of like what my life could look like if things went well, stopped at 50 kits a day. That's what, like, I couldn't even expand my mind past that. And I thought, if I sell 50 kits a day, I'm gonna be making like $500,000 a year. Like, that's crazy money. That's not even like possible. Like, it's good to have it down as a vision. I think a year after quitting my job, we were already selling like 125 units a day. And then it's just like been off to infinity since then. But it far surpassed what I thought was possible. And as I surpassed what I thought was possible, my brain also started to change in what I said I wanted, because the next goal and the next goal and the next goal, like how big can this get? And while you say today, the 350 or the millionaire, I don't think you'd be any different than me or Steven in that, well, can I hit 8 figures?
Well,
What would I do to go to 9?
the difference with me, right, is that I don't want to build something that, like MAG has 500 plus employees.
Yeah.
That doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
It interests Steven because he loves creating jobs, creating opportunities, creating wealth for other people. It's very philanthropic.
How big is the breakdown? Is that 80% in the Philippines?
Probably.
The 500? Okay.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm just curious about that.
But I mean, jobs are jobs, income is
Yeah.
income, wherever they are, So yeah,
half of our team is in the Philippines,
Yeah.
My
if not
whole
more.
team is Filipino.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
It's a phenomenal
for
place.
me, when you have, and there's nothing wrong with this. This is just personally for me. I never want someone else's livelihood depending on me. And that would give me more stress, right? And I think that's where I'm going to run into scalability when I want to scale beyond a certain point. If I want to scale, having that looming over my shoulder, right? Where now their entire livelihood is based on what I'm doing on an every day-to-day basis, right?
I find that very interesting that you say that, because, I mean, you're a father of 3.
Yeah.
You have a spouse, and are you the primary provider
she's
in the
stay-at-home
home?
mom,
Okay,
yeah.
so you got a stay-at-home mom. So from my perspective, outside looking in on your life, you already have 4 people whose livelihood depends on you. And
I
you're crushing it for
I don't
her
want
today,
more.
right? You
I don't want more.
of that, but that's
Yeah.
the stress. But is there the fulfillment that comes from providing for yourself included 5 people, and then thinking about, I have the opportunity to provide provision for hundreds of families,
Of course.
and grow to that it's not necessarily I want to be responsible for that, but damn if it doesn't make me feel good that I'm not just
Yeah.
providing for mine, but providing opportunities for other people to provide
Sure.
for theirs as well.
But I
And I
think-
build a business as a byproduct of that.
I think in the creative side of things and the strategy side, which is what I'm bringing to the table with what I talk about, you lose a lot in the sauce, right? In the process, where I would never want it to be John Aspinall is doing this, his strategies, and then it goes into an SOP, it goes into a Notion, it goes into a Google Doc, and 10 people are reading it, and they had a tired day, and they're reading it the wrong way, and it's not coming across. And then the end result of that client is then feeling like, I got sold on John Aspinall, but it's not really how John Aspinall would do it. So I think that would be a big caveat for me, because it's not like a PPC. It's not like it's mathematics, it's this, it's
He's
that.
cloning himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yet. I don't know. It's 2024. I don't know.
Give him a minute.
I think that right now you could sit down and write the book on CTR. It doesn't have to be 500 pages. It could be 50 pages with examples. And I know you're going to make that course one day. I'm not going to ask you to commit. I know you're going to commit to making that course as a free resource for anyone who wants to just increase their click-through rate.
Well,
and increase their sales.
You've inspired me to create school. So I've already created a school.
Fantastic. The next
Yeah.
step after school, the community, is to make the free course. You can call it a lead magnet if you will, but just more people knowing, liking, and trusting you as the premier person in the space, the thought leader, the one who stood it up at my Amazon guy who's now doing it at Pick Food, names that a lot of people on Amazon know, but making yourself preeminent in the space. Okay, so you write the book, and the moment you finish writing that book, the tactics and the tools that are in the book begin to become outdated. And a year goes by and everyone's doing it. It becomes very, very commoditized. Well, you're still in the weeds doing the science, iterating on what you started with as a knowledge platform and doing more and more and more. It's no different to me than Alex Hormozi's series of books where it's like, well, what's the next step? John's now doing this and sharing what he's doing here. John's now doing this. Because the platform that you've built already on LinkedIn and on other platforms that you're growing today allows you to change the vision and the direction that you're going in to add value to your clientele. I wrote this down. You've only been doing click-through rate for 2 years.
Yeah.
But no one's leaned into it the way that you have in the spaces that you operate in.
Yeah.
And you're taking that from the pros. So I think, what is it going to be 2 years from now that you're into that can add value to any company you come in contact with? That's why I'm cool if you decide you want to be the one-man John Aspinall show. That's fine, because you're going to be in the weeds making this stuff happen for people and having the new, fresh ideas and always having something new and valuable to add to the conversation that allows you to command a 4-figure per hour consulting rate from the companies that you're working with.
Yeah.
And you will reinvent yourself over and over again. But I do think that that Hormozi style of taking what you know today and putting it into a book that may be a free resource for people, that's just to help the masses, the free course that helps the masses, so that you elevate your status for the 10,000 companies like us who are like, well, if you can do that for a $250,000 company, what can you do for me? Oh, 20K? I'm down, dude. Like, can I fly you in?
Yeah.
Can you come sit down with our whole team for 4 hours and like help us stand up a program and a system to make this happen? Because you see the attempt that we're trying to make with the system that we've made, and it's not working yet. Like, we don't have the expertise, but you can sit down and be like, hey, change this, change this, change this, change this. And for companies like us who are leaning into it, it's just your watchful eye coming in and being like, just tweak that right here and then try that. Let me know how it goes.
Yeah.
And that's on a monthly basis. Like, what's the impact of that, right?
I just feel like, from what he's saying, so my Amazon guy is great. We did his course. I don't know if we paid for it or not. Had my designers do it. Copied what he did, you saw in that gallon. Paid them per SKU to do some options for us. And when I worked with someone from the Philippines, and I told him, I was like, I have people from the Philippines if I wanted to work with somebody from the Philippines. I thought I was getting my Amazon guy. And so I think there really is something to be said for what you could charge. You are getting the one man.
Yeah.
Like John Aspinall show.
And
That's what you
I
should
like
call
to break it down into just one simple, what's today's goal? And I'm going to make the goal up because you said it kind of arbitrarily. Hey, would it be cool to make $350K a year? Yeah, that'd be a good place to start. And then it goes to, let's just say, to get to $350 a year, right now you have 3 clients paying you $3,000 a month who are in a much lower tier than I would have expected, because I'm thinking that like we see the value and we would pay a lot more than that too.
And they have an agency.
They have an agency on top of it. So like you are coming in on top to just like put your eyes on all of it. And I think your background is interesting, that you know that agency world so well that you can speak to the pain points that they may be having with the agency. Then look, even your recommendation on which agency they should be using, like these are things that carry a lot of weight because of the background that you have. Yeah. That's all added bonuses of someone who gets to sit down and have a conversation with you. But if our lift to get you to $350K a year is for you to 4x the number of clients that you have today, the question I would pose is, okay, you aren't even really trying yet, and you have 3. If you tried and we took out all the best hours of the day that you today give to an employer in a day job, and you use those focused hours to focus on John Aspinall being the day job, like if you actually tried, tell me how you don't get to 10x and $1 million a year by just trying a little bit.
Yeah. So the best way to answer that is give an analogy, which I hate, or a metaphor, I forget which one it is. So for me, when I go to Atlantic City or Vegas and I play like roulette or something, or blackjack, I always like $10, $20, right? But then I'll always be mad when I see a guy walk away with like, I just won 10 grand, you know what I mean? But he didn't win 10 grand from $5 or $10, right? He won 10 grand by anteing up and putting, and gambling essentially is what it is, right? And risk reward. So for me, it's like, if I'm historically the kind of person, like I said, I'm 41, I just turned 41. So for me, it's like I could have been doing this 3 years ago. I could have been doing this easily, minimally a year ago without question. I just mitigate a lot of risk, and I need to stop and triple down on myself because, like you said, barely even trying, just connected with people that I know. These aren't strangers, the people that I know. And they're like, if you can get people that you know to give you money on an ongoing basis, to me, that's harder.
It is.
Than to get money from people you don't know.
Yes,
Right?
100%.
Because, so if I'm able to do that with people that I know, then I think it's a no-brainer. For me, it's like we said, no one, at least as before this video goes out, no one really knows about what I'm kind of doing. But conversations are being had by multiple people. I get inundated with, how can I work with you? How can I work with you? And I'm always kind of batting them aside. Like, you could do coaching with whatever company I'm at. You get me for half an hour. You're like, oh, I just want to work with you. Right. And I'm always just like, oh, well, this, that, and the third. I always went the safe route of the 9 to 5. I need the money. And it's funny because my first salary ever was like in 2009 or 8, because I was always hourly after college even. And it was $50,000. And I was like, oh, it was an e-commerce like cell phone accessory thing.
What year was this?
Like 2008, I think, or 9.
Big money in 2008.
And I was like, $50,000? You'll pay me $50,000 no matter how many hours I work or don't work, like $50,000 regularly? That's insane. And then that evolved to like, okay, well, how do I get to 100 grand? Like if I get 100 grand a year, I'm like a doctor. Like that's how I thought when I was a kid. Like if 100 grand, like I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer. And then I hit 100 grand and I'm like, okay, how do I get to 200? And then I realized that in the e-com, no one's just going to give you 200. You have to earn 200, and you earn that through sales.
Yeah.
And I hit 200. I think my last year at MAG, I'm open about that. I closed like that year out with 250 or 240, which is great.
Yeah.
I busted my ass. Like in sales, it's my salary, base salary was $30,000.
Yeah.
So when you have a good month, you have a great month, good. When you have a bad month, it's hard to feed a family on a $30,000, biweekly check,
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking like, okay, how can I keep that 200,000 and then ongoing and then more? And that's kind of where we're at right now, where I'm turning away too much money.
It always feels like a risk when you jump off the cliff, quote unquote. And I would say the number one thing that can mitigate the risk is cash flow.
Yeah.
And if we start to break down what are the steps that John Aspinall makes cash flow from and turn those into your new KPIs instead of having KPIs from a company that's giving you that base salary, those KPIs look something like making the great content that you do, getting more people into your free resources, building that platform up, and reaching out intentionally towards those 10,000 companies that you could save or make them $500,000 a year, and making the case of how much money they're leaving on the table by not working with you.
Yeah.
And for a fraction of that $500,000, for them to pay you $3,000 a month, or it could be $10,000 a month, depending on the company that's there. If you show me the value, and then after you show me the value, you tell me how much it's going to cost me to work with you, I get to evaluate the cost versus that perceived value and go, yep, that makes sense. But the fastest way for you to get to $1,000 an hour of consulting is to believe that you're worth $1,000 an hour. and refuse to do what you do for someone unless it's $1,000 an hour and turn down opportunities. I heard someone say this too, not just turning down the opportunities that are not $1,000 an hour, but pointing them to a competitor that you know will do it for cheaper for them to be like, hey, he's down here, I'm way up here, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you want me? I'm $1,000 an hour. That's just the way I see myself.
So perceived
And I don't
value.
need to work with you for $500 an hour. It just ain't gonna happen. Like, that builds your platform in ways that are just completely unbelievable. But even beyond all of that, if we get back to the point of just saying, okay, let's solve the problem for 350,000, that's 12 clients. That's 9 more clients than you have right now. Can you close 1 client a month? Okay, like, I see you quitting your job right around 3 months after you start putting the effort in to close 1 client a month. And it's not like you have to go be 40 hours a week with any of these clients. Like, you can add value in an hour a month with each of these clients too.
Yeah. What
so
I'm
your
doing
bandwidth
now
is huge.
What I'm doing now is just, agencies will give you like a once a month call or sometimes a bi-weekly call. The value I'm giving is a weekly call.
Yeah.
Weekly call when you're on the MRR, the reoccurring plan with me. Weekly call, weekly Slack, weekly tapping into John Aspinall and just getting the insights. And when they already work with an agency, they already work with designers, they already work with this kind of stuff. But like you said, having a second set of eyes on it that's saying, okay, this isn't good. And it's not a knock at a designer or an agency because they're in scale, right?
Yeah.
So they're doing what they deem best work in scale to move on to the next one. And is it better than what was done before? Sure. But is it the best? Probably not, because they don't have the resources to hold your hand and sit there and do everything we're talking about, because they're also worried about your PPC, your tickets, your seller support, your inventory, all that other kind of stuff. So it's hard to really hone in on one thing for a whole call and then be like, oops, I totally forgot to talk about your PPC and your tickets that are open and your suppressed listings and that kind of stuff.
And that agency knows they're trying to extract as many dollars as they can from you before you churn.
Yep.
And with any agency, it's not an if you churn, it's when you churn. So I need to maximize that up front, which to your earlier point is why they don't have the time to check on a click-through rate main image first and then move up to dealing with conversion rate in the back end. We got to do that. Give me $1,500 and I will optimize your listing. Well, what does that mean? And is that in my best interest as the brand? Or is that in the best interest of you as the agency, so that if any number of the things that we just changed by optimizing listing works, you can now be like, hey, no, don't churn, because look what we did for you.
Yeah.
And if you keep on working with us, we'll do that more. But the agency can't truly articulate what they did that made the difference. It's just like the billboard went up, your sales went up, never take that billboard down. Like you have to leave it up there because like, I don't know, man, but it's working. Like, why would you rock the boat?
That's like, you say you're from New York originally, or you just have family here?
Just family here, yeah.
So there's the BQE, you know the BQE?
I don't.
You guys in Staten Island right now, or are you staying in the city while you're here?
We're staying in New Jersey and hanging out in the city.
Oh, okay. So there's the Brooklyn Queens Expressway. That's like connects like Brooklyn and Queens or whatever. So there's right around the bend where you go to the Brooklyn Bridge, Apple has a billboard that Apple has always had since Apple has been advertising. It will never change. It's a point where you come around the bend and whatever Apple, I remember looking at it as a kid and there was an iPod, like an advertise, like that is their billboard. They will never change it as far as the placement. They will always have that space because of the actual, like, they're seeing some sort of return. Obviously, it's Apple. I mean, I don't know how you measure it.
Yeah.
But they always will, whatever is new is always going to be there on Apple. So it's just, it's really, really true.
Yeah. It makes a big difference. I think a lot of marketing is very hard to pinpoint what the ROI is. And that's where I think Amazon and Facebook ads have distinguished themselves by, we give you this suite of data to show you why you should continue doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Now, we all know that Amazon is fluffing up their attributed sales because we've had brands like Simple Modern that just turn their ads off to see, hey, is this legit? Like, what's going to happen here if we just turn them off? Because if my ad is here, the organic ranking is right here, would I have gotten that sale anyway?
It's ad
Or am I paying
cannibalization.
that? And it's the cannibalization that happens. But they're giving us that data to try to speak to marketers who want to know, hey, what is the return on investment for this? But so much of the marketing outside of that, you don't have the data to go off of. And so it's very subjective as to like, are we getting results? And that's why I think that marketing budgets in a lot of companies, it's very hard to substantiate to the CEO, here's what we need for marketing and why. And that's the first thing that gets cut out of budgets, because like I can't, like the sales team, I can see they have KPIs, they do this, sales go up here. Your marketing, I don't know how to really quantify the
ROI.
impact of what you're doing. And that's it's a dangerous thing. Like I think marketers have to find a way to approach that differently, but at the same time, leadership has to be more open to the idea that like without that marketing team, you'd be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, like
it's a dangerous thing to turn that off.
So for talking outside of Amazon, more the agency stuff and service providers, right? What would you think is the average cost or typical cost if you're a brand and you don't have a listing, you don't have an A+ content, you don't have anything, you just have a product, and you go to an agency and say, build me a listing, build me images, build me the A+, build me the brand story module. What do you think a typical, not high-end agency would charge as a one-time fee for that service?
$3,500.
$3,500.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's it. Like from scratch, build it. I don't know.
So I spoke to someone the other day. They got charged $10,000.
Oh my goodness.
And that wasn't even on the high end of the quotes. $10,000. And the agency was I'm not going to say the agency. It wasn't Meg. But it was a very cookie cutter ChatGPT, very much, we gave you a listing, you're up on Amazon, have a nice day.
Yeah.
For $10,000.
Yep.
So when we talk about equating cost and ROI and valuing services and stuff like that, when I see examples like that, I think about, I should be charging more for certain things. Because that's crazy. Because it's crazy that people are willing to drop $10K on something that looks like it was spit out from ChatGPT. And I'm a big fan of AI.
Oh, for sure.
But prompt engineering is a real thing.
Yeah.
And when you just put it in and it's just nonsense and then have a nice day, like crazy.
I know the people on Twitter, like you're bigger on LinkedIn, way bigger than I am on LinkedIn. I've been on Twitter active for a year, and I've seen both the people who are coming on to learn SMMA, specifically like Amazon agencies, and the people who are selling the courses on how to do that. And what they're basically showing kids, I mean kids like 18, 19, 20, you can be an agency, use my blueprint, here's my sales script, here's what you have to deliver to the client for, and you can charge X amount of dollars for it. In the case that you're talking about, $10,000 for making a single listing. I've seen pricing anywhere from like $2,500 to $5,000 for take a listing from scratch that doesn't exist and put it on there. And you go to some brand that's maybe only sells wholesale and you sell them on like, oh, I can get you these sales on Amazon. Hey, look, these resellers are already doing it. I'll make you that listing instead. Give me $5,000. You'll recoup this on the back end of it. It's really just a marketing pitch. It's just a sales pitch. If you find someone who's willing to pay it, who's a bit of a sucker, if you will.
Well, you say sucker because I find that whenever there's a guru out there, this is just me, jaded New Yorker, whenever there's a guru out there that's like, let's take SMMAs, for example, hey, buy my course and you can make $10,000 a month in profit sitting on the beach drinking a Mai Tai.
Yeah.
My first thought is, how much money are you making by doing this?
Yeah.
Are you making, and if you were making such good money, why are you slinging this program?
Why would you teach someone else to be your competition?
Why would you teach someone else to be your competition? Exactly. If you were making so much money, you never see, stock traders or, highfalutin people that make hundreds of thousands of dollars with certain tactics. You never see them like, hey, you want to learn how to trade stocks? And you almost never see that. But when it comes to social media marketing agencies and stuff, and the new one that I saw was how to make money with faceless YouTube channels with AI.
Yep. Yeah. And YouTube automation.
When I see a faceless YouTube channel with an AI overtone of a voice, I don't care what the information is.
Yeah.
You could be telling me the cure for cancer in there, and I'm turning it off because I cannot watch that. People sell to people, people buy from people.
I'll tell you the new one that's out there right now that the gurus have moved from Amazon automation into the Amazon influencer program, which was all the rage on Twitter about 3 or 4 months ago. That got very saturated very quickly because it's being sold as hey, this is super easy. Anybody can make a couple $100s a month by just making these videos. Like, yeah, duh, like no one's gonna be making any money from that anymore because now everybody's doing it because it's just an easy hack. the newest thing right now is the UGC agency. And I'm talking 17, 18, 19-year-olds who are learning how to create a UGC agency,
Sure.
pull the wool over brands' eyes and pull the wool over the UGC creators' eyes. There's a stat that like 85% of millennials, if given the opportunity, would rather be an influencer than any other job. So they're playing to that by saying, hey, buy my $3,000 course. I will teach you how to become an influencer. Oh, and by the way, you don't have to go and find the brands you work with. I'll bring you those brands too. So now this 20-year-old kid is selling people a $3,000 course to become an influencer, which he knows millennials want based on that stat, and then goes to brands and says, hey, I have expertly trained UGC creators. They're certified by this prestigious course that's been curated for them, not knowing that the 20-year-old made this course on how to become a UGC creator who knows nothing about UGC and is basically pulling all of that from ChatGPT on both sides, but selling it to both sides and then taking a residual, or in some cases, the scammiest of cases, I only work with brands that give me an equity stake. And I won't even charge you up front for the services. I'll get that all on the back end.
It's like a broker. It's like
It's a scam artist that works in like 3 different directions.
You know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you're always from Vegas or?
Originally from DC,
Okay.
Moved to Vegas and then California. Moved to Vegas by way of California. I had a 10-year pit stop in
So do you know about Cutco?
Oh yeah, we talked about Cutco yesterday. Yeah.
Did you? In a good way or a bad way?
Both.
It's like in college, I was targeted where on the chalkboard in college, I went to college upstate New York. I was like, do you want to make $20 an hour? I was like, yeah, I do. This is 2002 or 2003. I want to make $20 an hour.
Yeah.
And it was basically like, I went to this house and everyone was like drinking Mountain Dew and there was techno music and they were talking about how cool the top level person was. And you got paid on the meeting, but even if you didn't sell anything, you had to demo this and stuff like that. And I remember like, oh, would you just have to buy the knives from us? You buy this starter kit from us and you're setting sail on making this. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, why not? Big deal. So I did my first one and I did it for my family and friends. And I was like, write your names down and I'm going to get paid because there's so many people and stuff like that. And then I remember I went to go get paid and that little area that the house was gone. It went up and moved to the next thing, right? So I see some people that are like Cutco, like national level salesmen and stuff like that. But I'm like, where was that when I was doing it? So I'm never a fan of education is free, right? I don't care what anyone says. Education is free. YouTube is free.
Yeah.
Reddit is free.
Yes.
Twitter is free. I've taught myself Canva. I've taught myself Photoshop. I've taught myself how to edit. I've never paid for one program or course. I've learned through working in the Amazon e-com space, all these kind of skills and stuff like that. So I am not a fan of paying for something to make money. I am a fan of paying for something that I don't know to learn, but I'm never going to buy something, buy this and you will make bing, bing, bing. Like like I will go into a mastermind that says, pay this to learn with these other people who have this knowledge. And then I'm making a conscious decision to say, I want to learn and absorb from those people. But if you're I will never, in perpetuity, I will never buy something where it's like, you buy this, and I'll show you you can make bing, 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 this. Exactly. Because I'm going to say, cool, let me see your bank statements. Let me see how you've made so much money from doing this.
Scammer. Grifter is a new term that I get accused of being a grifter, even though my course is free. Like, apparently there must be an upsell or something inside of it that I'm apparently a grifter. And that's all fine. I'm happy to have the haters to go along with the people who are being helped by it. Much like my free course, I think you have a free course that goes along with yours that's teaching people the tactics because it enables you to charge more for your platform on the consulting side of the house, which is what I think is going to make John Aspinall special in the space. We got to cut it off there. This has been awesome. You are the CTR goat sitting next to our CTR goat, who is even more goaty today after
goaties.
this,
I
right?
was gonna say.
So if I want to come and work with you, where do I find you?
Well, my website's not live right now.
But by the time this airs,
But by the
will
time
be.
so GoAspy, so GoASPI. So I named it after my last name, Aspinall, Aspie. Short, easy to the point. It also stands for Amazon Strategic Product Imagery. Thanks, ChatGPT, for taking my last name and breaking it into something that makes sense. But yeah, John at GoAspy.com.
Love that. John at GoAspy.com, GoAspy.com. and tap into this knowledge base, I think we're going to see a huge impact from this being implemented into our business. And so I appreciate you coming on. We're going to break this down a couple different ways to make content for this. It's going to be fun to see how that gets broken down, and that'll be a challenge for the team to put all of that together. But this has been great. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
it.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right.